All right, welcome back to another episode of the Work Area Podcast, a special edition one. It's the 50th episode that we've done, so we're better than I think it's 99% of all podcasts out there. Don't get past 10, so we beat them idiots. But the real reason it's a special podcast is our guest in studio, one of the greats of Australian Speedway. I'm not sure. It sounds like he might not want to talk about himself, but it'd be a weird podcast if you don't. But Kim Buswell, he's done everything from, we'll go through it all. But Kim, Buzzy, really appreciate your time, mate. I know it's probably not something that you love doing, but I think it's a story that everyone's going to want to hear. And it's easily my most requested episode, so stoked to one, have you on, and two, get it done for episode 50. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I guess it's taken a while to get here. My mate Chatty's been busting my balls for a long time to come on. I'm like, nah, it's not me. And then just one day out of the blue, I said, I might do episode 50. And he goes, well, we're at 45. I'm like, fuck, okay. So here we are. We'll see how it goes.
It was almost my agent, I reckon. He facilitates a lot of the little deals. He's in every circle. He's got his fingers in every pie. So, he facilitates it particularly early when I absolutely knew no bastard. He helped me out heaps and sort of steered me in the right direction. And then every guest is somewhat of a follow-on from the next. So, he's a ripper man, Chad. And, I'm sure we'll speak about the great man a bit later on, mate. But I guess, back to the start. Everyone's here that they want to hear the speedway stuff, and you've got a heap of them. I've got no idea how long we're going to be here, but it's good. Yeah, it's going to be a while, mate. But I guess your start of the speedway journey. When do you reckon that truly was?
So I guess I really got into speed. I got to like speedway, I guess, because Mum and Dad used to take us because I was born and bred in Bunbury. I lived in Bunbury for the first 30 years of my life. So, Mum and Dad used to take us to the speedway all the time. Loved going, loved the sprint cars. Could never really work out how I was going to get involved in sprint car racing. Then the Crickies bought a car and Ron started to drive. So just out of the blue there one day, I went to see Ron, and on a Saturday morning it was, and I was just so desperate to try and get involved without being a pest,
Fine line.
Yeah, and you didn't want to act like, you're overawed by this whole situation. But anyway, I think I told Ryan I was out to look at a car. I had no intentions of looking at buying a car. I was just trying to get involved with the race team. Anyway, so I did get involved in the race team, and asked me to come and help, and which was basically where it all started. I'd say that would have been 1983, probably. 1983 was probably when it first started with Ron. Fucking long time ago, eh?
Is there any racing like in the family or anything like that, or is it just purely the Bunbury Speedways is what sort of ignited the fuel for you to go out there and get there? Was it just Bunbury? You didn't do anything before that?
No, I'd never been to another speedway. I'd never been to, Claremont was operating. I'd never been to Claremont. We'd never come to Perth, but Bunbury's. But that's where it probably first started for me. But I just had this fascination with sprint cars that, I don't know, somehow drew me to it, and I wanted to get involved in it. And I thought the only way I could get involved in it was by that route with the Crickies.
Pretending to buy a car.
Yeah, pretending to buy a car offer. And, we got, me and Buff are great mates, and Johnny, and, we go back a long way, but that's basically how it all started.
And with that, what was the first job? What did you get given? Like tyre guy, not even that, mud scraper? What was it?
No, I was just a shit kicker, mate. I was scraping mud, and that's about as far as it went, pushing the car. And then I started going there after work, and Johnny was a crew chief and helping Johnny, and Shane was there. Ryan was just a kid, like a really young kid by that stage. That's how it basically started for me. It's a really, when I look back on it now, it's a really great great time, and it's how I definitely got started in it.
Is it always was there always a goal, or was it just at that stage where you just happy to be a part of it? You didn't think like, this is me, this is what I want to do right from the start, or you just going along with the flow early?
I think I just rolled with it. Then we started, because we used to race, Friday night was Speedway night back in them days in Claremont. And, man, we used to jump in some old shitbox cars. We'd get to come up here to go to the races in the back of Land Cruisers and Land tray tops. So we didn't see the back of a tray top, but, troop carriers. And we had just a car trailer and some tyres on. And I'm telling you, man, we had back in the day, it was a good trip home, always a good trip home. A few beers, and there used to be a little place in Mandeville call and get a coffee, and sometimes a boy getting an argument with someone, and so when you look back on all that shit, open trailer, all that sort of stuff, but that's when it kind of got me that I wanted to. I never thought it would. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd get to where I'm, what I do now, because I was still working. You know what I mean? So and then here we are today.
How many years is that then? 40?
Yeah.
40 years.
Yes, yeah. I was with Ron in 1985 when he won his Australian Championship in Claremont, which is 40 years-ish. Well, 40 years this year.
And just with that, I know the Australian title thing was a bit of a thing last year when you won it with James. Is there any even shit kicker type involvement between the 1985 one and the 2025 one?
Not really. I mean, you're just trying to find your feet. You're trying to find your way around. You don't know. I can remember so much about that night. So we went and tested Doug McPherson. We had a steel block engine. And we went and tested in Bunbury a couple of days before the Australian Sprintcar title, and we blew up. So we had a steel block, but we had Chrysler rods and everything in this engine. And Doug McPherson took the motor back. He put it in the back of his van. I think he had a panel van or something. He drove it back to Perth, and we rolled up to Perth on the Friday, put this motor in, and we ran good that night, and we didn't stay in Perth. We wanted to keep everything the same. Rolled home, maintenance and service, and drove back up that day to come to the title. I think from memory we were leading. Rushy passed us, and then Rushy got a flat tyre. But I do remember, this sticks in my mind forever. So I remember being where I think we were starting on the front row somewhere. And it was, I think it was Joe Tatnell says, comes up and says, hey, because at that stage you're only allowed to have 3 crew guys or something like that. There was me, Johnny, and one other guy. I couldn't remember. Poor old Shane he got left out. But I remember Joe Tatnell yelling out to me, hey, there's oil underneath your car. I dropped on the deck and looked under the car and there's nothing there. I'm like, fuck. I just got stooged, you know what I mean? But that was, so... Yeah, we won that night. It was a good night. We had to race the following night in Bunbury, and we remember we got back to Bunbury and we had the sign guy there and we put the 1 on it and we went out to Bunbury and blew up. So I do remember that.
But so back then, it was still in the 80s, mid 80s, you were testing, it was still that serious, and the crickies were taking it that professional to go out testing and stuff the week before a title.
Oh, we wanted to run this engine because we hadn't ran it before. Yep. So we just thought we'd run it. Yeah, and we had a drama with it. So, Doug McPherson, he's still around today, Big Doug. He took it back and fixed it up, and the rest is here. And then we blew it up. I think we burnt the thing down at Bunbury the night after the title.
Do you remember the expectations going into that title? Were you thinking you were winning, or where was the team and Ron at prior to that title?
I just think we were pretty decent. I think we felt like we're in with a good shot. If we could podium would be good, or for a top 5 car would be good. I think Lee Foster ran second that night. I don't know who ran third, but it was a crazy night. a long time ago though, 40 years, and then finally to pinch one last year was feel like I'd done my apprenticeship.
That's a serious apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Is that the first taste of like success and something that sort of stuck with you and thought, yeah, like I want more of this, and that sort of year, did that almost launch you into what you've become today, do you think?
Yeah, probably, because then we went on, we just, I was still a crew guy, I was a tyre guy, and we just, we didn't really have, back in them days, you didn't have set jobs. Johnny was the crew chief. We right up to it. And then Ron went and raced for Jeff and Jeff Murphy with Action Performance Car. And I helped with Johnny for a few years after that. And then Shane came along, and remember Shane went to America and worked with Bob Trossel and brought a car home, and they built that car and they raced that car. Well, Shane raced it with Johnny then, and I sort of stepped away for a little bit off into the wilderness. But, sprint car race always pulls you back in for some reason.
So talk to me, what after that then, what was your next sort of gig after the Cricky deal? So you like you said, you've stepped away for a little bit. What did drag you back in?
I don't know. I sort of felt like I needed to do something a bit different, but then, because it was a bit of a commitment, in that period of time. I remember I got married, which is 40 years this year, getting married. I know that because my wife reminds me, but Ron was actually the best man at my wedding, and Johnny drove one of the cars. So it was a full Cricky deal. But, I went away, and then I was trying to remember, man. I can remember all that the stuff with the Crickies, which I feel like both myself and my son are forever indebted to the Cricky family for what they've done for us, getting started. But there's a hell of a legacy there with the Cricky Motorsports.
And with that, like, what the next sort of, it's hard to get back to truly go through your career, and which I'm hoping this is almost like a bookmark in your career that someone can look back and figure out exactly what you've done, because it's really hard to find any sort of chronological order of what you have done. It's sort of the next sort of documents and articles I can find is you've moved to Kendrick Motorsports and to work with Jeff Kendrick. Is that your recollection?
I worked a little bit I remember working with Johnny. So Johnny went to work for a guy called Steve Woods, who was a Caltex dealer in Bunbury. I worked for him for a year or so. And then Sean Curran, who was running Jeff Kendrick's team, he decided to leave. And Jeff talked to me about going, and I'm like, fuck, I'm in the deep end here. Like it's a 2-car deal. I couldn't even remember I know Ron was one of the drivers, which was probably one of the reasons I sort of felt like it was like a security blanket for me with Ron still being there. But I'm just trying to think, mate. We've had so many, we had, Gary Brazier there, we had Ryan Farrell there, Gavin was there, me and Gavin. So, yeah, me and Gavin Gavin Mugger did some racing together.
Is it, just while you're doing it, it's just mind-blowing that the names are still the same. It's still the Crickies, Sean Curran, Kendrick, Migra. It's just still the same names. There's nothing else like Speedway in terms of longevity and then you look back and think how much, like you said, the Crickies have done, not just for you, but for everyone in Speedway and like the fans. They've had a car out on the track, and then Sean Curran, like the same names have given so much to this sport.
I mean, there's not too many people that have got in it that have walked away from it.
It sucks you in.
Without coming back, right? Sean started a business called Sean Enterprises, which he was wheeling, dealing, selling used parts and new sprint car parts, and he was just down the road in Frobisher Road there I think it was Frobisher Road, one of them roads there in Aussie Park. I was just up the street, and I went to work for Jess, man. I was in the deep end. I was way out of my depth on just all of it, really. I'm like, I just kind of have to learn this learn this on the fly. I'd never really, you're working for one of the highest profile teams in the country at that stage. We were still quit team, So a big truck and trailer, and I can tell you some stories about that. Anyway, that was for me to go to Jeff's a big deal. We had to move. I only had 2 kids then, Sinead and Dylan, and we moved to Perth. I remember we rented a house in Perth, and I started working for Jeff. We had some success. Jeff had a lot of laughs, had a lot of memories. We had some. me and Gavin did win that race, that speedway race, which was pretty cool. I felt like we were the underdogs. You know what I mean? Jeff was working with Ron. I was working with Gavin. We had a bunch of kids, just young kids helping us. We go racing, but we won that race that night. I was so happy for Gavin and everybody in our team. Ron was, and to their credit, Ron was the top. He was the number one team, and we were just like we played second fiddle to them, which is I got. You know what I mean? So I was a crew chief for Gavin, and we won that race that night. I was pretty proud of that. Pretty happy for Gavin too, because he blew around the outside. I think we were outside underneath Randy Hannigan for the lead.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool. I do have a funny story about we went to race, me and Gavin, and we took Pino with us. Ron didn't want to come, but we took Pino with us to the Mount Gambier to the Australian Sprintcar title. And we rolled in there, and we pretty much destroyed everything we had in the trailer, right? Pino's shit was crashed. Our car, we crashed. And there was just me and these 2 young kids. One was Dwayne Hickman, and he lives in New Zealand now, and the other guy who's passed away. But he was with us. And I remember driving home. Dwayne was just a kid, but his parents were in a truck and he could drive. And we had this old Transtar truck with a big trailer. We had this Transtar truck, and I'd driven from Warrnambool. I drove it a long way, and then I call him Jigger. Jigger got in the drive, and he is behind the wheel, and this thing started rattling. I'm like, fuck. So he pulled over, rolled it out again, rolled into the Nullarbor Roadhouse, right? I'm like, dude, this is... Back in them days, man, there was nothing. You're talking 40 years ago in the Nullarbor, right? So we pulled over, and the truck we had dropped the valve. So how are we going to fix it? Somehow we've got to fix it. How are we going to get home? But one of the funniest parts was, I was a cab over truck. So I remember we started tilting the cab, and we didn't have the chains on the cab, so the cab went to the front and fucking fell straight on the ground. The cab. Fuck. Oh, God, it was funny. I still tell people that story about the cab. People on the survey pulled up and the cab's on the ground, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't fall off, but it broke the mount, and we had to pick it up and put a drum underneath the cab. Anyway, we got it home, and that was pretty much, I was done and dusted after that deal. Like, I got home, I said, Jeff, there's your truck. I reckon it took me like fucking 2 weeks to get home.
Oh.
But, yes.
And with that, when you say you work for Jeff, is that your full-time job back then?
Yeah.
Yep. So is that the first time you'd worked full-time as a sprint car sort of crew chief?
Yeah. I went straight into it as a full-time crew chief.
There's obviously a pathway now, or like some would say, like your son who's got into it can now look forward and understand that there is a full career path. Back then, was that like a massive leap of faith for you to become a sprint car crew chief back then? Like, was there even a pathway you could think, if I do this successfully, I could make money? Or is it a full just leap of faith?
So I think back in then, there was probably only, I reckon in Australia, maybe, Sean was working for Jeff and John Barrett was working for Gary Rush. Alan Felsh was working for George Tatnall and Brooke. So there was you could probably count the amount of full-time crew chiefs on one hand or even four fingers compared to what there is today, right? So for me, I'm like, dude, I'm all in on this. I'm gonna throw everything I have into it, and you know, I give credit where credit due. Jeff took me and I said, man, I don't know what I'm doing half the time for this shit. But anyway, we'll figure it out, you know. But yeah, we got there in the end, won some races, and we had a hell of a time.
But was it like telling your missus, like, I'm leaving my job and I'm going to work for this? Like, is it like everyone going, what are you doing? Or you just didn't care and you were doing it anyway?
Well, yeah, I felt like that was I got an amazing wife who's just, I've put my wife through the ringer with racing, mate, you know, but she's surprised she's still there, to be honest with you. But, yeah, and I said, we need to move to Perth, you know what I mean? She had a job and we sold, I don't know, I can't remember what did we do with a house or whatever. We sold a house and we moved. It was going to be a career move for us, for the family, and pull the kids out of school and put the kids in a different school and all that sort of stuff, you know. My wife supported me 100%, you know, like, this is what you want to do and this is, you know, so this is a pathway we're going to go and this is where we're going, it's what we're going to do.
And then obviously the Kendrick deal. Is that you?
Mm-hmm.
Who we got?
Fuck them, I know it's someone up here.
Your phone, though?
Yes, up here.
Who do you reckon it is?
Chad?
Oh, it'll stop ringing. It has stopped ringing. Let's just make it. It was Chad disrupting it. So the Kendrick deal, that's the elite of the elite at the time. What did you do after that? Like,
so what happened was I in that period of time I became good mates with Randy Hannigan, and in 1996 I said to Jeff, I'd been working for Jeff, but I wanted to go to America. Felt like I needed to be there. You know, mate, back in them days, mate, there's no social media, there's no phone, you only got a landline, and all you did was read magazines, you know, open wheel magazines. Open wheel magazine to me was like God, you know what I mean? Like, because I just wait at the news agents every time the magazine came out, or Speedway Illustrated had a newspaper edition, and I'm like, for me to go any further in this thing, I need to get to America and race.
Yep.
And Randy Hannigan invited me to go to America and work with him. You know, so here I am, you know, just up and left me missus and I remember flying to America. I'd never been to America in my life. I flew into Philadelphia. He come pick me up. So back in them days, all you did was read books about people. And, you know, I had some real idols in my life, you know, Sammy and Steve Kinzer. And Steve Kinzer had just went away and then came back as a Quaker State car back then. You know, Sheldon Hodenshield and Daniel Osowski and Joey Saldana and Dave Blaney and Mark Kinzer, Carl Kinzer and Kenny Woodruff and all these people. You know, I just idolised these people. So I remember we got there, it was late. Got up next morning to go to breakfast. I'd never forget this. We went to a Bob Evans store right next door. We're in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. We walked in and I sat down. I'm sitting next to Sammy Swindell. I'm like, holy fuck. this is, I don't know. I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I kept saying, don't ask stupid questions. Don't ask a stupid question. You know what I mean? You're sitting there because Randy and Sammy were good friends, and I just felt like I was so far out of my depth. It was ridiculous. I'm like, just shut up. And, you know, but you'd read about these people your whole life, and here you are, sitting alongside Sammy, you look over there and Carl's over there having breakfast and, you know, Kenny Woodruff's over there. And Kenny Woodruff's, you know, I idolised Kenny Woodruff and Carl Kins and them crew chiefs, you know, and I still idolise them today. And I'll never forget, there was a big golf tournament day and everyone was going to play golf and I didn't really want to play golf, but I was just staying at the hotel and I called and Carl Kinzer was there working. He had the 5M car with the Wertigan 5M car. He was there and I said, do you mind if I just, you know, they called me Oz back then. But you also got to remember, let's go back a little bit. There's only probably at that stage there was Mouse Green was there, Darryl Green was there working for Hod. There was me, and I think Dave Sharman was over there working on the U2 car. There was probably only 3 of us at that time that I know of that were probably crew chiefs that were going to America to work. Well, to hang out. We're not supposed to be working. We're going there to hang out. So you felt like you're a pioneer in that, you know, but all you're trying to do is you're trying to better yourself. So I'll never forget, I said to Carl, can I hang out? He goes, yeah, no worries, man, you know. So I'm like, man, this is cool. So I'm sitting there and Carl Kins has got the cylinder heads off his engine in the parking lot in the Carlisle, pulling the heads off and giving it a valve job in the trailer, you know. I'm just in awe, you know, and there's pictures, I've got pictures of Carl on my phone with the thing on its side and he's checking the bearing, pulled the oil pan off in the parking lot and checked the bearings and all that happened, you know, I mean, I was there when all that happened. And I was just blown away by all that, man. I'm become really, really close to Carl, just, you know, say all the time, you know, you always have a conversation with him. And it was 1996 and then I had to leave that night and I'll never forget this. I went to leave. I was leaving the next day and I walked up to Carl and I said, hey, I'm going tomorrow, you know. And Carl used to wear an apron. He always wore an apron at the racetrack, right? And I stood there and he took the apron off and he put the apron on me. He said, I want you to take this home. And that's it, hanging up there in the shock room.
Carl, yeah, that's wicked.
James has asked me he goes, can you keep that in your will for me? McFadden, can you put that in your will for me, Buzzy?
Oh, don't ask for too much.
But, so that was, I came home and I've treasured that thing. So sitting in there and watch him lapping valves in and putting cylinder heads on, I was just there. I was just in awe of the man, you know, just doing his thing, you know.
With that then, was the time over there, were you mind blown with like the level of how they were operating, or was it somewhat standard and similar to what you were running back here?
No, we weren't even close.
Okay,
we were a mile away. We were a mile away. So back then, they just started bringing out front top wing post on your down tubes. They'd only just started over there. So it used to be back up on the angular piece of your roll cage. So they just started. So people started moving these things up and down, and we were plumb bobbing this, and I was in awe, just taking photos. And I remember I came home, and I came home to Jeff's car, and we put them on Jeff's car, and we made wing trees. And I'd had photos of everything, made all the same wing trees. And Jeff was probably one of the first people to have cars in Australia with the top wing posts on the down tubes back in them days. And I was like a kid in a china shop, mate. I just couldn't believe it. I was way out of my depth though, but I just went there to absorb everything and learn as much as I could and bring it home to here and somewhat apply it to what I was doing here. It's
always mind-blowing to me how long ago there was still this correlation between USA and WA, like with the USA drivers coming out here in the 80s and 90s racing over here. Like it seems like a world apart way back then, and people were still able to organise contracts and get drivers. And like I've heard Con Migro talk about flying to America to certain motels because he knew someone was coming and waiting at this hotel for a driver that he wanted to race back here in Claremont. Like, it was there always, even when you got in the game, was there always like a USA, WA sort of correlation?
Yeah, there was. I felt like there's always Americans coming to Australia. Another guy who bought a guy out who I just love listening to him talk and was Scruffy Donaldson. He bought out Jack Hewitt. They had the blue 21 car, which were based in Osborne Park. Jack Hewitt's a badass, dude. He is a bad motherfucker, I'm telling you. To watch him race and to talk to him and tell you stories, yeah, he was really cool. But I feel like, when you think about it, what Con did back in them days to go and sit down and talk to drivers and contract them and bring them out was a big thing for Australia anyway.
But to even so you'd have to organise a team over here that's willing to take a driver, then fly over there and try and convince that driver to come back to Australia and drive for a team. It would have been wild.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times Con tried to bring their cars with them, or if not, we'd place them in the cars out here. But full credit to them. I don't think there was too many promoters that were doing that back in the day. Con was certainly a pioneer in that aspect of bringing Americans to Australia.
And back then, Bunbury versus Claremont, was there like a rivalry, or was Bunbury nothing compared to Claremont? How did the two tracks sort of compare with sprint cars?
I felt like, Claremont was always a home of sprint car racing in W. I felt, my opinion, you know what I mean? It's always good to race in your own backyard. You didn't get, sometimes you didn't get a great car count, but you always got good cars come down. But certainly, Claremont Speedway was the place to race, especially for sprint cars. It was just a really awesome venue and big, so fucking ducks in here, mate.
I actually thought that was a duck for a second. Is the relationship that you created with Randy in America then, is that what got him back here, or was it that he was already doing that?
Oh, he was already doing that, and then I'd work with Randy a little bit while I was working with Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I helped him build a car, and down at Sean's, because all them cars run out of Sean Enterprises shop in Osborne Park. Sean housed all them cars, and Randy ran out. And then we'd go down and help Randy after work and get his stuff ready. I went and helped him in 1996. I went back again. I'm saying it's going to be. So then I made the big decision that I needed to move. I needed to move to America because I wanted to pursue this deal that I'm going to, we had a house and everything. And I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do, but we pretty much sold everything we had. We put some stuff in storage because I was at this stage, I told Jeff I was going to leave. And I was going to go and pursue this thing in the US, where I was going to try to become a crew chief in the US. And in my mindset, I was going there to live and I wasn't coming home. And I had my daughter Sinead and Dylan was a young kid then, a young boy. I remember we flew to, we were going, so Randy was now driving the Mopar deal with Gary Stanton. And it wasn't great to start with because we only had a couple of engines and we had steel blocks and we couldn't get blocks yet. They weren't done. We flew to America, and here I am again with my wife, dragging my wife and my kids, and I got a visa and we flew, mate, I think I flew Singapore to Japan to San Francisco, the cheapest route I could. I'm trying to fly my whole family to get there. And, Deb, my wife, just stuck with me. I don't know, I don't know too many people are going to uproot their whole life with their husband and go and live in another country with your kids, right? But I'm like, I was so driven by wanting this to succeed, wanting it to happen. So the first time we went out and raced, and then Deb had to stay back in California, and we get out there and we're racing, and I talked to Stanton, And he's like, so tell me a bit about your deal. And I'm like, I got a wife and a kid back in California. There you go. So they were staying with Randy's wife at the time. He goes, well, you need to get them out here. They need to be out here. So I flew them out to Lexington, Kentucky, and they had our shop was in Lexington, Kentucky. So Deb and Sinead and Dylan were there, and we'd go race. If it was close, they would come and race with us. And I remember one time we went away racing, and Stanton come to my. So Gary was out with us, and he came to my hotel room and said, "You might need to call home. We had a tornado go through the area last night." And I'm thinking, shit, my wife's there at the shop with my two little kids, So I get hold of Deb on the phone. She said she was, down in the toilet with some pillows and mattress, and I'm thinking, what the fuck are we doing, Also in that time while I was out there, that's when, and I completely forgot about it till Ryan talked about it when we needed a hand. I knew Ryan was out there with Kerry. You just once again, you just can't pick the phone up, so called Shane, get hold of Ryan. Next one, he's on a Greyhound bus. And we raced. We're in Pennsylvania. We must have raced Williamsgrove, and we heard a motor. And we only had one left. And we had to go and do this. I'll never forget this. We had to go and do a car show in Carlisle somewhere for a moped dealership. So we go to this car show, and we got the motor sitting there fucking running, rip, rip, rip. Next minute, boom, and it blew the fucking oil pan off it in the parking lot, right, at this Chrysler dealership. So I think what happened is the fuel was all went. It was full of fuel. The oil pan got full of fuel, and it blew the pan halfway off the engine. I'm like, well, fuck, now we got no motors. So that's when I said to Mouse, Ryan Cricky's here. If you got something for him? I don't want him to go back and he doesn't want to go home. Can you? And that's how Ryan got hooked up with Hod. I think that's how Ryan described it. It's pretty much exactly what happened. Yeah, we blew the fucking oil pan off this engine. Just idling. Where all these people, these people from Mopar, Chrysler people hanging out. And yeah, anyway, we went back, and at that point I'm like, I need to get my family with me on the road. So I talked to Debbie about coming out on the road, and she was going to sell T-shirts and do laundry and do whatever the things she had to do, on a race team. So I put this plan together, and I went and talked to Stanton. I just finished building, and in that period of time Randy got let go. I stayed because I had somewhere for my family to be, so I felt like the family was safe. So Randy got let go. He got fired. He went back to California. I stayed with the family. We had Jimmy Sills come and drive the car. We had Bobby Davis Jr. come and drive the car. And then we finally put a deal together for Joey Saldana to come and drive. And I was a big fan of Joey's. And we built this, and it was a non-down tube Maxim, which was probably the last of the non-down tube Maxims that got built. And I just finished building this car for Joey, and we're getting ready to head out on the road. I remember loaded like 100 tyres in the roof of the trailer, and I'm like, okay, now I need to go and talk to Stanton about the wife and the kids coming with me. So I went and sat down in Gary Stanton's office, and I said, this is what I want to do. I want my wife to come. I'll buy the rooms. It's not going to be any expense to you or whatever. And he said no. And I'm like, well, at that point, I'm like, well, fuck you. I'm not leaving I can't. My wife's, done everything. She's come across here. I just can't leave her here again. I'm not going to put my wife, my kids through that again. So I said, I'm okay. I'll leave tomorrow. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm done. I said, I don't think I'm asking for too much. I really don't. But the crew chief at the time, a guy called Dwayne Craig, I still talk to him every now and then on Facebook. He was devastated. You know, there was just me and him on the road back then. We had, you know, and I was a tyre guy and a car chief, and he was a crew chief, and I was shattered. I'm like, that's the end of it for me, and I didn't really have anything. I had nothing else to go to at that time. You know what I mean? You got to remember, you're over there. You're just trying to feel your way around, you know. And I felt like, okay, I'm settled. I'm at Stanton's. We're going to do this. We have niche motor dramas, but my family's safe. And Gary Brazy was living with us. He lived with us, stayed in this apartment with us in the shop. And I got a photo somewhere. I think it's on my Facebook profile. Me and Dylan. Dylan was only this tall then. You know, just a little kid, and he was helping me build a car. And we put this car together for Joey. And I was so excited to go race for Joey. But it just didn't turn out that way. And I'm like, I remember we going back into the apartment, and Deb, she's pretty much packed, ready to go in the truck. We're going to head out and go race that day. And I said, we're going home. Had to make flights and book flights, and came home. I was devastated. Like I came home to nothing. Like with your tail between your legs. Like it's all turned to shit, you know.
Yeah.
In the meantime, what had done is I sort of had something lined up. If it turned to shit for me, that I was going to go and work for Scott Milling and Alan Haynes. So, you know, and I said, mate, I could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. I don't know what I'm doing. My plan is I'm not coming home. That's my goal. I'm going, right or wrong, I'm going to make it. In hindsight, if I had have, I just didn't know enough people to ring. You know, you just couldn't ring up, call your mobile and start ringing around, you know what I mean, like you can now. You get a job in a heartbeat now. But back in them days, you didn't. Yeah. So instead of us going on the road, we left, and I was shattered.
But to look back at that now, it's such a life-altering decision, and probably the worst thing that happened to you at that time. Is it one now, with how everything's turned out, is that one of the best things that's happened?
I guess so. I mean, I just really wanted the American thing to work. I was so hell-bent on doing whatever it takes to, you know, but in the back of my mind, I was constantly thinking about my family, you know. You know, you can be quite selfish in this sport sometimes. So at that point, I'm like, I wasn't prepared to go back down to the shop and tell my wife that you can't come on the road, you stay here with the kids, you know what I mean? Like that wouldn't be fair.
And you probably had that conversation 5, 6, 7, 8 times already, like you can't come, and you just couldn't do it again.
Yeah, I couldn't. I didn't want to leave my kids, you know, and it was just upsetting for everybody, you know what I mean? Like Dylan and Sinead would cry, and it's horrible, really. And I'm like, I don't want to, it was fucked, you know, and I'm like, I just don't think it was that big of a deal I was so mad about the whole thing because I just don't think it was that big of a deal for me to be able to go and bring my family at no cost to the team. You know, I mean, all they were going to do is ride in the truck or the trailer, you know.
Yep.
You know, and Deb was she was cooking meals for me and Dwayne and at the shop, and, you know, so all that was.
Deb sounds like a straight killer. She sounds like a beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trooper.
Yeah, she's a ripper, mate. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck she's still doing with me, but anyway, she's a trooper.
You come home then, like I know I heard an interview before with you where you said tail between your legs, but like, mate, you had a crack, like the leap of faith that you would have had to do what you did back then and go to America. Like, there's 3 people that would have done it in all of Australia, you know, like it's I think a tip of the cap to you. I don't think you should look at it like you came back, like you had a crack, like, and it's not that it didn't work, it's just the scenario didn't work. Like, you would have made it over there, I'm sure.
I probably would have made it. I just, you know, life's a lot of things in life about timing. And I had this discussion with James, and James had something put to him recently, and I'm like, it's just, the timing's not right. The timing's right. I mean, to me, timing's everything. Right place, right time. Everything falls in your lap. here's me. I came home to fucking nothing. I didn't have a car. I had some furniture and some boxes. I think at that time I came home and stayed with my sister. Then I'm like, and we got to start all over again. Like we had nothing, zero. And I'm like,
so how quickly did you get to work? Like literally when you landed?
Yeah, I reckon I'd already talked to Scott and Alan, and they'd bought a truck off Mick Rowell, and we were doing this truck up. So I reckon I was home, I don't know, a week. And next minute I was in Kalgoorlie living in a donga. I went from fucking living in America.
Beautiful.
To Haynes living in a donga in Haynes' yard building this truck, you know. And we got a little workshop in Cusack Road in Malaga. And we worked out of there and we built that team there, 2-car team. And
Haynes and Milling.
Yeah, ran them two guys, H&M Racing. Ran them two guys out of that shop.
How did you feel then? Like you said, you went to America and you felt out of your depth. Like to come back into a deal like that, is that when you sort of first felt like you had a full grasp on what was going on?
Yeah, I felt like I had my shit together. I felt like I could do it. 2 cars is very difficult. 2 cars is very difficult at any stage. So I'm like, you know, I'm just going to have to, you know, get the right people. Crazy story. The shop we rented right next door to us was a guy by the name of John Barrett, and he's passed away now. A lovely guy. He was a trailer repairer, and he had a partner, and his partner's name was Peter Capehorn. So Little Pete.
Like a business partner, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Little Pete, Little Pete.
Yeah, I had a phone call with him this week.
So Little Pete used to walk back and past my shop all the time with a school bag on, just a young kid. And I said to his dad one day, hey, do you think that I'm looking for some help? You know what I mean? I got Dylan helping me, and he's just a kid. You know what I mean? Dylan's, 10 or what, I can't remember how old he was, but do you reckon your son would like to come and help, Like, he goes, yeah, I think so. So I talked to him, and that's how Pete Capehorn got started with that deal. So little Pete come and started helping me. I remember one of the first races I took Pete, we went to Carnarvon or Karratha to race. And fuck, both our cars flipped in the feature. My pit area looked like a fucking wrecking yard. And I just said to Pete, you still want to do this racing shit? He goes, yeah. And then you look at the full circle. Shane Cricky calls me about hiring Pete. Pete goes to work for Bunbury Toyota.
Yep.
So
same names, still the same names.
It's crazy, hey? Yeah, he's those two guys in the shop next door, bless their souls, they both passed away now. Remember seeing little Pete walk past this shop, and I just remember he'd say, "Hey, going, mate," just put his head down, had a backpack on, going to school, and on a scooter or something. And then, I'm like, "I reckon your son would like to come racing?" And he's like, "Yeah, maybe," And I asked him, and lo and behold, Pete Capehorn.
Bang. Is the H&M Racing, was that another step up in like level almost, like from what I've been told, like that was the first team that did everything like absolutely supreme. Is that your recollection?
Yeah. We had J&J cars, and we had all our equipment was good. All our equipment was top notch. It was really good equipment. So we had no. I do remember one year we went through 14 top wings though. We went through some shit,
Yeah, that's.
But one car was Scotty was 50 and Alan Hayes was 66. So.
I've heard you say it a few times. What's like building a car back then versus building a car now? Is it easier now, harder now? Like,
it's way easier now.
Yeah, you don't have to machine all your own stuff. Or I know you do. But
I do.
Yeah.
But now you just buy the stuff, buy parts and put them on. I buy parts and I got to fuck with everything. That's just the way I do stuff. But that's just me. But yeah. So little Pete came to work for me, and yeah. Then I had a bit of a break for a period of time there. Hainesy wanted to do something else, I think, from memory, and so we got out, and I actually did some racing, some jetboat racing. So I was building fucking jet boats for a guy called Jeremy O'Driscoll, who was the UIM promoter, which is like FIA of World Series jet sprinting. So we'd go jet boat racing all around the world. Jeff was building the engines, and I can't talk for hours about all that shit. But
they're those little things that like it's almost like a maze.
Yeah,
and I remember it.
So we had a fucking 500 cubic inch engine in a boat, all aluminium. The thing was off its head, like 1,200 horsepower, in like a 14-foot boat, you know. And we'd load all these boats up, and Jeremy was a UIM promoter. So we'd go to New Zealand, we'd go to the USA and build tracks and race jet boats, you know what I mean? There's huge following.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
What was bigger then, Speedway or that?
Well, that was on a national level.
Yep.
So we'd load 10 or 15 containers of boats and ship them off all around the world, mate. You know what I mean?
Far
so
out.
I was actually in America with Jeremy O'Driscoll at September 11.
Really?
Yeah.
September 11, 2001.
So I remember being in a trucking yard. We were organising a truck to come and pick up some containers. And I'm sitting in a car and the radio's on and they're talking about a plane that hit the World Trade Center. Jeremy O'Driscoll come running out of this fucking trucking yard to the car. He goes, let's go back to the hotel. I'm like, oh, you hear about that plane? He goes, yeah. He goes, mark my words. I'll never forget this. He goes, mark my words. This will change the way we do things for the rest of our life. I'm like, wow. So we went back and we just fixed the TV the whole day. The whole day. The problem was we couldn't get out.
Yeah.
Right? Jeff was there with us. Jeff Kendrick was there with us. We're in a hotel. We couldn't get out. We're trying to run an event.
They just would have shut the whole country down.
Dude, it was shut down. So once we got a flight out, I do remember we got to LA. We were up in Oregon. We flew Oregon to LA, got on a 747, got escorted onto the plane, got on it, and took off. And I remember that nobody said a word, right? When that plane touched down in Sydney, everybody applauded. Like it was almost like
eerie.
We're safe.
Yep.
Like it was crazy. That's a bit of a side story for you, but
no, that's wild. No, the US then would have just been.
Yeah, he's passed away now, Jeremy, but he did a lot for me. With some pretty hard times. I owe him a lot for what he did for me personally. Supported me when he didn't need to support me. You know, the boys, H&M shut down and he just gave me a job the next day. Let's build boats. I was like, fuck, okay. So switch tack, we're going to build boats. And so I did that for a few years, a couple of years with him. And then I did the deal with, started working. Brad Furr came out and did some racing out here, and I became good mates with Brad Furr and them guys. Went to America and worked for them for a little bit with Brad Furr on the Outlaw Tour, and we shipped cars home from America and did a couple of World Series tours with Brad Furr. I had a fucking full-blown World of Outlaw car. My shit had had everything, right? I just took an Outlaw car off the tour and shipped it home.
We'll talk about the logistics of that then. How hard was it to do that then? Is that like...
You still had to load. So I loaded the containers and we shipped our own car home. We shipped we had one engine, little 255 headed, Brodex headed Donut we had. With Brad Furr. That was a hell of a time, man. We had some Man, we had some fun. A lot of fun. A lot of things I probably can't talk about. We had a lot of fun. Racing with Brad Furr. It was pretty cool. When I look back on it, yeah. His mum and dad were great people. His mum passed away, Karen. She was such a beautiful lady. She died of cancer. I remember when it was all said and done, we did all that. I remember I went to Bunbury one night for a World Series race. We won it. I went a fucking 100 pounds underweight. I'm always like, if you're going to go
100
big.
pounds?
I'm like, if you're going to go big, you go big, eh?
35 kilos?
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, it's more than that.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm like, I remember being on the scales, Brooke Tatum was second, and they're looking at the scales, and we're fucking nowhere near we're going to make it. And I thought, I'm getting fired out of this deal. I'm going to lose this gig. So Randy Furr called me that night after the races. I'm like, oh, I'm about to get fired. And he goes, oh, a bit of bad luck tonight. Enjoy some, have a few days off, enjoy your time off, and get it sorted for next week.
So you just have to add weight to it? What?
Yeah. Yeah, I fucking got to cheat. So I went and bought, I can talk about it now, but I went and bought lead shot. I bought all this lead shot, got some scales, and I weighed every single thing. I can tell you the difference what a titanium ladder weighs and a normal shaker ladder, a fuel pump, ultralight fuel pump. Wheels, non-beads, I can tell you what a jug of fuel weighs. We weighed every single thing we had to try and get weight, and I just kept putting all the weight in the seat of the car on the scales till we made the weight without him in it. And then we had to distribute the weight in the car, and then did that, and then we're okay.
Brad Furr. He was decent. He was a decent driver.
Yeah, fuck yeah, he was a badass dude.
Yeah.
He pounded a kid from California.
How old was he back then? Like in this sort of time when you're working?
He was like in his 20s probably. He's just young.
Just a kid.
I can remember going to racing with Brad Furr and helping the boys, and they'd get pissed because he'd want me to drive his bus. I mean, he had a Prevost bus, Prevost motorhome. We had a T-shirt trailer on the back. We had a Honda Civic in the back and 2 Harleys. With a fucking T-shirt trailer, right? This is no bullshit. We'd be going down the road. I'd be sitting there and Fur'd say, hey, Buzz, you want to have a steer? I'm like, yeah, no worries. I'm 8 hours. I'm still fucking driving. He's in the back sleeping. Him and his missus and the dog. I'm like, hey, Fur, give me a chop out.
Yeah.
So I rode with him. This is the weird part. I rode with him. We'd pull up at a hotel. He'd get a hotel room. I'd stay in the motorhome. It was weird. It was funny, though. It's cool, though. We did that a few times. But
what about after Furry, who was the next sort of major team? Was that the Jeff Lee, Kerry Madsen deal? Was it HSC?
Yeah, so I did all that. I did a little bit of racing with Ken Satori.
Yep.
We did a lot of racing.
You did a lot. You guys couldn't lose, hey?
Yeah, we were pretty good. We raced on we raced in Sydney weekly.
Yeah, Parramatta.
So we'd fly out Fridays and come home Sunday morning early. So we'd fly in, fly out. That was hard.
Yeah.
That was really hard. But there's me and Kenny and a guy called Benny Sorrenti who lived in Windsor, and we kept our car and we worked on our car and we stayed at Benny's house, and we did that for about a year. Won a good race there one night. We felt like we knocked on the door a lot there, winning races there. And I actually got let go. Got fired. I've never been fired in my life. I got fired.
From that deal?
Yeah. Yeah, and I understood the whole thing, you know. Brett Satori was working for his parents and they wanted to race. I'm like, okay, whatever, man, it is what it is. And I was kind of floundering around. At the meantime, I was trying to start a little business in doing race car trailer stuff. So I'm still involved in the race car trailer thing. I was still doing some work for Jeremy O'Driscoll, but I wanted to go down this trailer road, you know what I mean? I really liked the way the American trailers were built. So I figured I could get into this niche little market. No one here is doing it. And I went to a 21st birthday party at Jeff Kendrick's place for Jason. And Leesky come up to me and said, "Hey, you go, what's going on, mate?" I said, "Oh, not a lot." He goes, "Oh, you're racing?" I said, "No, I've got to let go." He goes, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Do you want to race?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to race." And he goes, "Who would you put in your car?" I said, "Kerry Madsen." Me and Kerry are good friends. And he goes, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Well, you want to come and see me next week?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You want to come and see me next week?" I'm like, "Okay." I'm thinking, I'll leave this party, and I'm thinking, I think we all had a bit too much to drink, me and Leesky, He called me on the Monday and he goes, "What time are you coming?" I was like, fuck, this is going to happen. We had nothing. We didn't have a fucking thing. So I went down and sat with Leesky and I said, what do you want to do? What's your plans? He goes, "Why don't we race the Nanovich race?" Which is Mike Nanovich, who was a really good friend of Luch Monte's at the time. Well, he got killed in a car accident. And the family put on a memorial race. I was paying $15,000 to win. So back them days, $15,000 to win was a lot of money. So we were like, Leesky's like, "Well, what do you reckon we do this race?" I'm like, "Mate, we don't have any fucking thing, Leesky. I got some tools and I was, He goes, "Yeah, we'll just get it." Kerry running a cool car then, so we called John Cool. He built us a car, got a car. We borrowed a motor, or at least we borrowed a motor off Dave Challenge from Camden Neon, the 45 car in Victoria. Good mate of Jeff's. He lent us a motor. We had no wheels. We put this deal together and we didn't have a truck or anything. And Leesky got us a truck and it was like a fucking bread van. I'm telling you, I had to take the front bumper off it and the top wing off it to get it in. I'll never forget this, eh? And it shows up at the shop. And no ramps. I had to build the ramps on the fly, build some ramps for it, weld some shit together, put this car in the back of this bread van, and we had was it a Mercedes or a Volkswagen big van then, and we could put the wings in it. Jeff got us a four-wheeler and a toolbox. We are fucking racing, man. We went racing, went to practice. I never went to practice, and I was doing the timing. And I don't know if you know, on a sprint car, the generator's got a V-band clamp on it. I was doing the clamp up and the bolt broke. Like a mag flew up. I'm like, "Oh, we're done." And anyway, Madman's out there and he's got a Nerf bar bolt and put a Nerf bar bolt on it. We tied it back up and we rolled around that night. We go to the race the next night. So there was a Wednesday night practice. We go to race the Friday night. We rolled up. People fucking laughing at us. We had a tent, quick shade tent, a pie van, and a van with me shit in it, right? It was a 2-night show, and we fucking smacked them. We smacked them, dude. It was bad. Oh, it was so cool, hey. Then we parked it. The HSC rentals car, we parked it. We just wanted to do them a couple of races. The following year, we went and did more racing, built a trailer. I built a trailer. I bought a trailer and built a trailer myself. Jeremy O'Driscoll helped me fund that, to build that trailer for me and Leesky and Kerry to use. We went and raced. We did some racing here, raced on the East Coast. We weren't that great in Sydney. We went to Warrnambool, Mount Gambier. We got in a wreck. Went to Warrnambool. We were qualifying Madman. We get first lap, we go 7th quick. Next lap, we're on for a lap here. Madman tags the fence with the right rear and we flip our dicks off down the front stretch. Remember Leesky was standing in turn 1 with the crew guys sit? Remember seeing his car up in catch fence, right? I'm like, well, that's the end of that. This is shit. Kerry's like, let's put it on the scale. Let's scale it. Let's get it weighed. So we got it weighed. And they actually allowed us to get it in the pit area. I remember this like it was yesterday. So Leesky there was me, Ian Madsen, and another guy helped me called Matt Barber. So Matt Barber owns the 18 KPC team in America.
Yep. Yeah, right.
So Matt Barber worked for me. He went across there to help Kerry, and next one he's got a big concrete company and trucking company over there now. But Matt, no, they were just young blokes. Ian Matt's the young blokes, mate. You know what I mean? Me, Ian, Buzzy, we called him. Lee Walker, which is Ivan Walker's son, he come with us. And Leesky got us together in this trailer. And it was like a football coach. Honestly, dude, it was like we shut the door. Leesky got us all together. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put all this together, piece all this thing together, back together. The frame was okay, but we had to replace everything in it. Got it all done. Went out, finished the first night. I reckon finished the first night in the top 5. So we would have been pretty decent in points because we timed somewhat decent. Went out the next night, won the Classic. That's that trophy there. That's the only Classic trophy I've ever kept, was the very first either. HSC Randall had on it. So that was Kerry's 3rd in a row. He'd won the 2.
3rd in a row.
He'd won the 2 previous.
Well, but so why would Kerry go from?
So what happened was there was 2 years where Kerry ran, and then there was a year that the Classic got rained out.
Okay.
So it was a year off. So we just Kerry was running the 55, the TK concrete car back in America. So yeah, he come and drove for me and Leesky, and we were on the Classic.
Well, and Jeff just fired you up in the trailer and realigned the whole crew. And
he was just not so much of a motivator, but Jeff's Lees, he's a badass dude. You know? When you look at the things that Jeff Lees have achieved in motocross, mate, and
freak,
fuck, and as a person, like he's a fucking champion. He's up there. In my books, he's up here, right? As a person, I can still, have a good conversation with him. We can pick up straight where we left off, and I felt like, I was feeling a bit sorry for myself. I got let go from a deal. I didn't think we were doing a bad job at the time. But anyway, you move on. One of them sliding door moments, mate. One closed, one open. You want to go race? I'm like, fuck. So I was quite happy to go back and race the 47 back then, which was Kenny, with me fucking pie wagon and a van with some shit in it,
So Kerry's just always been that good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what about Ian then? He's crewing at the time, and obviously that's when him and the KPC team formed the relationship somewhat. They knew each other back then. And
yeah, so just on that, Kerry Madsen is the only guy that I know, probably still to this day, that could build an engine. He could build his own engine. He could walk into a shop, pull some chromoly out, bend it, and build a car, and crew chief it with his motor in and run it and win. There's not too many people that can do that, mate.
No, surely not.
There's not too many people that can do that. But, I recently moved house, and I found a letter from Matt Barbara that he sent me. Matt Barbara sent me a care package about 5-6 years ago now from KPC. It was a watch and a bag and all this stuff, and there was a really nice letter in there about what I taught him about professionalism and presentation, and I only read it a few weeks ago. Actually, it's quite funny. But so Ian Madsen and Matt Barber were just young blokes, and then they're 20s, early 20s.
Just kicking around.
Just kicking it with Kerry, yeah.
Then after, how long did that deal last? Or why did that come to an end?
I just felt like with me and Leesky, I don't think it was ever going to be a full-time gig, you know what I mean? We were just, and I was still building trailers, and we used my trailer, and I sold the trailer, and I felt like, we're just sort of floating around. And I tried to move into the trailer thing a bit more, to start building trailers. Well, not building them, but doing fit-outs in trailers was what I was trying to get into. And I got into that, and then I actually had a work accident. Things were quiet, and I got offered a job to go and do a job that was paying pretty good money for me and Dylan to go do it. Dylan still didn't have a driver's license at this stage. So we went and did it, and I got hurt, and I'll never forget, we were in the ambulance going to the hospital, and I had a big cut on my knee here, broke my knee and broke my kneecap and ripped my back open. And I remember I said to Dylan, you better tell Mum to come to the hospital and pick you up, you know. I remember he says to Mum, we're going to be home late. I was in hospital for 10 fucking days. We're going to be home late. God. Yeah, it's funny when I look back on it. But I remember being in hospital and I'm like, we're fucked. Now anyway, I'm back on this skid row again, you know what I mean?
Again.
And in walked Luch Monte into the hospital. Offered me a gig for me and Dylan to go there and work. And I'm like, fuck. Sliding door moments, mate. You know what I mean? Like, I'm forever indebted for Luch for that, you know.
At your lowest almost thinking, I'm injured, no work, all of that. And then
I'm fucked.
Probably, yeah.
I still had a factory that I was renting. No income. Luch Monte walked in and Jeremy O'Driscoll covered the rent for me.
Fuck, he seems like a ripper, O'Driscoll.
Yeah, and then Luch did the rest. Walked in, he said, will you come work for me? I'm like, fuck, probably not right now, but yes, I'll take you and your son. I'm like, shit. So I do remember he had an automatic silver Commodore that I could drive because I didn't have a car or anything, you know what I mean? I didn't have a ute, sorry, but it was a manual. I had this silver Commodore and deals I got out of hospital. I remember working for Luch on crutches. I was that desperate I needed to get to work. I had no money. Luch, like everybody, he was just, you know, so I remember coming to work, just sitting down, and me and Dilzo and Dylan would pull cars apart, and we're getting ready to go race. And at that stage, Luch was racing in Darwin. So I was sending Dylan to Darwin with Luch. So I couldn't go, I couldn't fly, I was on crutches. So Dylan was going up to Darwin with Luch and helping out up there for some races. Yeah, I owe Luch Monte a lot. He's done a lot for me, and I just feel like I've been surrounded by really good people that have showed up at a time when you need people to help you, you know?
That Luge, the Monty deal, is that sort of like the transition in you? Like, is that when you become like Buzzy? What? Like, I don't know you, right? But I have always known you, and it's through that period where you're winning, you're getting the corporate sponsorships on board. Is that the time that really springboarded your sort of quote unquote career?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I felt like it definitely did. I mean, I went to work for Luch. Dylan was with me. The very first year we went to work for Luch, we won the SEG points. It was 2000, what did I say, 2008 or something? 2007 or 8 or 9 or something?
Yeah, 08, 09.
08, 09, yeah. There's a photo of me and Dilzo with our car in the SEG dinner. That was our very first year at Monty's. Yeah.
Does it get lost a little bit that Monty Luch could drive? Like with what I know, he's been a car owner, he's had
It depends which Luch showed up.
Yep.
If the right Luch showed up, mate, we were on. But you could tell sometimes if he had stuff going on at work or he's busy or, things going on. I felt like that when he was on, like he was, I'd say, man, which Luch has showed up today? Who we got? Because that'll tell us how we're going to go.
So who made the decision for him to hop out the seat? Was it purely him? Do you have a chat? Like how did like Luch Monte, the car owner, sort of come to fruition?
So I think we were going to branch out into a 2-car deal. I did some racing with Luch, but then, so this is when we really, Dylan came along. So Dylan's been around it now for half a dozen, 8 years, from America to here. And
he's a 15-year-old veteran.
Yeah. Like, I'll just backtrack a little bit. I can remember racing in Sydney with Dylan, and he wasn't old enough to be in the pits, right? He was only like 14. He had to be 16 back then. And Brian Healy, who revolutionised sprint car racing in this country, brought all these 410s in, and we're going 410 racing. I feel like he flicked the switch. He forced the hand of every other state because he's like, you're going to race here, you're going to run a 410. He was an American, but he was a pioneer in that space. You know what I mean? So Dylan gets kicked out of the pits one night. I remember Brian came up to me and he goes, hey, I need a birth certificate to say how old this kid is. That's all I need. Okay, no worries. I got a birth certificate, doctored the birth certificate, changed the date, showed it to him. He goes, that's all I need.
Bang, he's in.
He's in. But then when I went to Warrnambool, he got caught in Warrnambool half a dozen times. He'd have to go out and sit outside and sit with strangers and watch the races because he couldn't come in with his dad. And that sucked. You know what I mean? He worked all day with you. And,
was it a blow to the team? Like he seems like he was competent at 10. Like he was an actual part of the team early.
Dylan? Yeah. So we sent Dylan and Brad Kilgarran to Brisbane to race with Donnie. Dylan was only 17 or 18. He's going to be the crew chief for Donnie Shots. I'm like, I said to Luch, if he's going to learn, he's going to sink or swim.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty confident he's going to swim. I'm pretty confident, Yeah. We build a car and send a car up there for him and Donnie to race. They won races up there. We did the same thing with Dylan and Shane Stewart. They won races together. At that stage, Luch had retired now. We did that, and then I think Ryan Farrell came and drove for us a little bit, for a year or so. Stephen Lyons drove for us. So Stephen Lyons was the first year in a yellow car in the 17. And then I got this idea that I want to go down this corporate route with a sponsor. So I knew some people. I tell you who helped me a lot was Paul Morris. Helped me a lot. He put me in contact with people from Monster Energy. So we talked to some people there, and we're going down this road. We're going to be a monster deal. A 2-seater. I bought a 2-seater from America, and we bought an A trailer, and I'm all in on this Monster Energy thing. We're going. Right? This is going to be bigger than Ben Hur. We're back. We're getting a corporate sponsor back into sprint car racing, And I'm working my ass off on this deal. You're wheeling and dealing, but you got other people trying to help you out. But Paul Morris got me into that, put me in contact with the right people I need to talk to. And then I had another guy who was doing sponsorship stuff for Paul Morris who helped me, was doing a lot of the negotiating. it started out as a big number, which they all do. Start out as a big number, and then it doesn't. We don't get the big number. We get a significant amount, but Linesies. We built all this stuff. We've got 2-seater, so I've got to send the whole truck and B-double set to Melbourne to get it wrapped in Monster. It's all got rewrapped in Monster. We've got Monster suits and Monster helmets, and full Monster. We're sponsored by Monster, Globe, GoPro, all these cool brands. Monster brought along with us. Monster also brings Milwaukee. Milwaukee and Gear Wrench. So I had all the big we're the big name people were trying to get in with. So once you move in that circle, you sort of feel like you're halfway there. So we, I'll never forget with Lions here, first race, World Series races in Brisbane, and we had Mick doing in our trailer and Jamie Whincup, because Jamie Whincup was a Monster athlete back then.
Yep.
For Monster. And we fucking crashed twice in the one night. My Peter looked like a junkyard, and I had a B-double truck parked in the pits at Archerfield. I don't know if you've ever been to Archer. We had to get there at 10 o'clock in the morning to get this thing in, but it looked good. So I was up there racing with that, and Dylan was there with Donnie, and then after Donnie, Shane came along, and Dylan did some racing with Shane. But yeah, the Monster thing, I was like a year or maybe 2 years, maybe we did the Monster thing. And then, I just felt like if I could get a big corporate sponsor, that it would take the pressure off of Luch financially. It was a lot to run, and 2 employees, me and Dylan, and although, we went, it's not like the wages were today, but we just wanted to go race basically, and Milwaukee came along right at the death knock, Monster pull out. We're about to start World Series, and then I've got, and Luch's, and I'm the one dealing with the sponsor side. I'm talking to the sponsors, and and it sounds favourable. The next minute it's not, So we're like October, we're about to start racing, World Series to start. In the meantime, Linesy quit. Steve wanted to go and do something else. We were in Monster. We didn't have anybody. So Shane was racing with Dylan. Shane came across to race for us for a couple of years with a Monster deal. They quit, and then I'm like, oh, so I called Milwaukee. I'm like, hey, Monster jumped out. They're like, oh, fuck. Well, we can't commit at this stage. Our budgets go December to December. That's the US budget. Goes December to December, not like they are here. And I'm like, we're in a world of trouble. So they're like, well, we can wrap everything, and we give you some money, and see how we go for the first year. And Shane was with us. And we struggled bad, to the point where I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I can do this anymore, Felt like we need So then we hired Kyle Hurst. He'd come out and race for Michael Cunningham, I believe. So Kyle Hurst come and race for us. And then we were, after that first year with Shane, I think Shane left, and then we got up and running with Milwaukee. Milwaukee made some really, really good friends, and I'm the one that was jumping on a plane, going, sitting in the boardroom, and it was a funny story. I took with me the sponsorship manager from Monster, was a friend of mine, Dave Ellis. He was a sponsorship guy at Monster at the time, and he still looks after a lot of supercar drivers that manages a lot of Will Brown and all them guys, manages all them this day. So me and Dave walked into this joint, to this Milwaukee, we're on one side of the table, Dave's got his laptop, and I'm sitting there and I'm presenting all this stuff. You know, we've got car designs, we've got trailer designs, we've got all this sort of stuff, and where they want to run a 2-seater program. And Dave just rattled off all this stuff, and I was like, "Shit, okay, we got catering, and we're going to do this, and this." Okay, no worries, we're in. I'm like, wow. So from the years after, I think we had them 5 years of problem. So the years after that, I just did it myself. I didn't have to. Dave didn't come with me, but yeah, we had. So I had Kyle Hurst for a couple of years, and then Luch Milwaukee wanted us to race more. We needed to do more racing. We weren't doing enough racing, really, and I was governed by Kyle. Could only come for a certain period of time, you know what I mean? Which was difficult to tell Kyle. Plus, you also got to remember James was driving for Scott Milling in the 25 car. And I'm like, this is a really tricky situation here, you know what I mean? Because we're all friends here, you know? And, you know, Luch, I remember having a coffee one day at one of our markets with Luch, and Luch says, like, oh, what are we going to do? Where are we going to put in our car? And I said, well, I think I've got someone that's contacted me, but I don't. And he said, who is it? I said, James McFadden. He goes, no way. No. Really? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, fuck, how are we going to do this? I'm like, I don't know, but...
Like poach him effectively.
Like, I feel like we're not. Because in the meantime, after Kyle Hurst, I put Jamie Veal in our car. I did a couple of races with Vealy here, and I'd put a deal to Vealy to come and race for it the following year. In between all that, I get a phone call from Shane Cricky, wanted to hire Dylan. And I'm at that point, I was like, which is probably a couple of years prior to that, but at that point I'm like, I feel like Dylan's ready to go. As much as I didn't want him to go, he needed to go. He needed to get away from his dad. He needed to experience all the other shit you have to experience with this game, you know. And Shane rang me and said, you know, can I talk to him? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I said, he's ready. I think he's ready. He's not going to be up to speed with paperwork and invoicing and any of that sort of stuff. You're going to have to deal with that. But Dylan can know his way. He knows his way around a race car, right? He doesn't have a truck driver's license. I don't think he had a truck driver's license. He might have back then. I think he might have, yeah. I'm just telling you, man, so, you know, how are the Crickies again?
Yeah, full circle.
They hired Dylan, which was hard for me to let him go, really. But I felt like for his development, he needed to go. You know, he needed to go and experience. And it was difficult. I struggled to deal with racing against him. I was racing against him and Brooke, you know. And I really struggled, you know, never tell him that, but I didn't feel comfortable racing against my son, you know.
Is it because you're so competitive and then you obviously got to be competitive against your own son? It'd be such a foreign concept. Like, I'm not sure how many other people would be even in the position that you were to fully compete for money, for everything that you compete against your own son, going head to head. That must be a very foreign emotion. Yeah,
it is. And we travelled together and we roomed together, like stayed in similar hotels, and I just felt like I was there to help him along and help him, you know, I mean, wherever I could help him, I'd help him. And it was foreign, really. You know what I mean? And Mum's, you know, Deb would come to the races and she wouldn't know which car to go for.
Whoever's in front.
You know, but That was really hard. Yeah, I remember Shane called me that day and said, "Oh, what about your son?" I'm like, "Geez, Pete Caporn's gone. Now you're going to take Dylan," which is, I think there's a period of time where they might have been with somebody else. I'm not quite sure at Crickies, but
at a moment you must have always knew was coming, and then obviously deep down you would hope it was coming. Like you would have been hoping that Dylan had enough of a reputation that someone makes that call.
Yeah, I felt like we were at a point where we were starting to butt heads on stuff. And so I don't think it was good for our home life at home, you know. But yeah, Shane called me. He goes, "Can I talk to your son about coming to work for me?" And I'm like, "Well, if he's going to go anywhere, this is where I'd like him to go, you know." So I know he'd get looked after down there with Shane, which, he respected, so much respect for Shane and the family. Like I say, it was hard for me to let him go, but he needed to go. I remember saying to his mum, "He's got to go. He needs to go, and he needs to get away from me.
Yeah, be his own man.
He needs to, and he'll be fine, you know." He used to bring his cars up at the beginning of the year, and we'd build panels and stuff at my shop, and we'd weld on his cars, and he'd weld, So, but at that stage, we'd try to teach him everything you could teach him. It's your son, whether it be welding or fabricating or watching race car stuff. And he could watch race cars and look at stuff, and he started telling me stuff. I thought it was kind of cool, you know what I mean? Bit tight, Dad? We need to tighten up. We need to tighten up, Dad. Okay. So, so he went to work for Crickies. James comes with me.
You have much of a relationship with James prior to this?
Oh, So I raced against him. So we had one World Series there, mate. He kicked all our asses, mate. Like, he won like 6 or 7 races in a row. Like, I remember I was on the road with Speedy, with Fari, and we're pulling our hair out.
This little shit.
Fucking kids rolling around with a left rear shock with no bump rubber on it, no rebound on his shock. I'm like, dude, and Glenn was there. Glenn Beaton was there. And I'm like, we're watching this and watching that. And Jason Johnson was there racing with Hainsey, and Hainsey had come back and run the 47 car. They're racing, and he had us rattled. We're watching everyone was watching everyone watches what everyone else is doing. We were watching them guys. So I kind of Billy come and did some a couple of nights for me, and we won. It was like the last race of the year we won. I remember I was in bed in the morning, and then phone rings. It's James McFadden. And he just asked me a weird question. He goes, "Oh, and what are you doing next year?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, "I don't know. James was getting ready to go to the US, and so I just kept Luch in the loop. I had to go and meet with Milwaukee, so I got all these renderings of the car done. Went to a pub in North Melbourne. Met with the head guys there, and we're having a beer, and I'm like, we might have a new driver. We're just waiting to see. This guy, Marcus Monch, said, "Is it James McFadden?" I'm like, "Well, it could be, yes." He was that excited. Marcus Monch was. He's a ripper guy. He goes, "Yeah, we're in. We're all in. All in."
At this time, was J-Mac the man or a prospect?
No, I felt like, so James had been going to America, and he'd raced one year in a 55 car. Then he went and he was racing the 3G of Joe Gertie's car. And he was going back to race it. He hadn't committed. So he left to go to America, and we're we're in no man's land. We're not, it's just, the season's just finished, but we're not quite sure what we're doing or where we're going, how we're going to do all this, how we're going to piece all this together. And I'm talking to Luch. I'm like, I just don't know where it sits, so we'll have to wait and see where all this is going to sit. So, I remember being home one day and then James called me and he goes, let's do it. I was like, oh shit, this is going to get, it's hard, you know what I mean? We're good friends with Scotty and I'm friends with Taylor and called Milwaukee, confirmed the deal. James was going to come across. They're all excited. I remember I was in America with my wife and I was going to the World Trade Center in New York to have a look. And James called me. He goes, I've just told Scott. I'm like, oh, fuck. I go, how did it go? And he goes, oh, I think it went okay. I'm like, what do you mean, you think? Or he goes, no, I think, Scott can see it's a good opportunity. It's a corporate sponsor and I felt like it's where I need to be. I said, okay. At that stage, Kyle Hurst was still driving for us. So I talked to Luch. Luch says, well, you're going to have to tell Kyle.
Oh.
I'm like, fuck. So I remember being in a shopping centre in California now. I'd gone back to California. I was there for a wedding, actually. I called Kyle. I said, Deb, I'm going to call Kyle Hurst and tell him I don't really want to tell him. We're mates, you know what I mean? But we couldn't commit to all these races. So I, sitting in a, like in a, shopping centre, they have chairs and lounges, and I was sitting in a lounge and I call him and I couldn't tell him.
Oh.
I just couldn't tell him. I'm like, he goes, so what do you think? What do you think's happening? I said, I'll know from Milwaukee. I'll know from Milwaukee in the next 20 minutes. I'll call you back. I'm like, you weak prick. Get off the. I didn't have the heart to tell him.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell him, but for us to move forward, it needed to happen. So I called him back and I'm like, hey man, I've just talked to the guys in Milwaukee. They want to do all these races. And I'm sorry, Kyle, but you just can't do them. You can't commit. And I completely understand. He goes, do you have another driver? I'm like, yes. He goes, who is it? I said, it's James McFadden. Well, he got off the phone at me and called James. Congratulated James and wished him all the best.
Really?
Yeah. James was like, Kyle Hurst just called me. The gas her up. He'll have a great time.
That's awesome.
And the rest is history. And we did the Milwaukee thing for a couple of years and then they went, I sort of felt they started to release this stuff. They're going to go supercar racing. I'm like, I said to James, we're fucked. We're gonna get nothing. So so Marcus Moch had moved on. A guy by the name of Tom Matheson was looking after us. Super, just such a nice guy. And we were finishing out this, he goes, we can't go the following year. He goes, because he rings me and I'm like, mate, he goes, I need to talk to you about something. I said, mate, it's okay. He goes, what do you mean? I said, it's okay. I said, I know exactly what you're going to tell me. It's okay. And it was hard for him, and then we won. Here we are. We win the championship. We win the World Series championship. And he came across to the dinner with us. And when time got up to accept our stuff, he walked out of the room.
Really? And meant that much to him?
Yeah, he goes, I just don't agree with what we're doing. I can't. Yeah, it was hard for him. He was emotional about it. He goes, it's just, I don't make the calls. I said, mate, we're 100% with you, and I get it, you know what I mean? He goes, this is just so wrong. I'm like, hey, man, it's fine. Okay.
with like I don't want numbers or anything. But I know you know deals. Was like the Monster and Milwaukee deals like as good a deals as anyone would have got from like sponsors in Speedway, or was it more that like they could leverage their name over you, if that makes sense?
So we obviously undersold ourselves to for Monster, trying to get into Monster.
Yeah.
Then that fell over. I went to Milwaukee. The timing wasn't right to do the budget. They came on again the following year. And then the following year we were up there.
Yep.
Like it was good money, like really good money. Good money for everybody, you know. Learned so much from them about just social media stuff, and they weren't driven by performance. They were just driven by social media numbers and what how your profile is. And
Yeah, right.
you know, we did some really, like I took a stupid video once of my phone. I drove out of my shop, at a shop in Wangara. I drove out of the shop, B-double. I drove it out of the shop, turned out, went down the street and tooted the horn, and I put the caption, eastbound, right? And that was it. Well, I put, had like 1.2 million people view it. They ringing me like, this is it was done on a phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Put it up. Then, had Michelle Jordison work for me. She was, her and her husband, Phil Jordison, used to have Oval Express magazine.
Okay. Yep.
So she was looking after a lot of the logistics stuff for me, talking to Milwaukee and emails and scheduling and ride days. And ride days are a big thing, you know what I mean? A ride day is a lot to get organised, and organising people and the events and the tracks and catering and barbecuing and food and all that sort of stuff. She would organise all that for us. So it was a big deal. A big deal. Me and James, we loved it. We loved all the two-seater ride stuff, you know what I mean? But yeah.
With those two-seater ride days, obviously, it's so normal for you. Is it awesome to go to those days and almost get like a refresh in your mind of how wild these things are when you get someone like a corporate partner or someone's nana or something keyed out of it, and to see the look on their faces? Is that like a still a really good moment for you being a part of it?
It's good to see people's reactions, and we still got we saw it last year when we did the two-seater ride stuff with Nappa. With James did it, the Nappa race, just to watch people coming there screaming and carrying on, and I feel like we do take it for granted.
Yeah,
a lot. You know what I mean? It's yeah, we had our two-seater program was really good. A good program. We got paid really well for two-seater ride days, 5 rides a year, 5 days a year. But you met people from Reese Plumbing. You got to meet all these, it just bounces off from one to the next.
Yeah.
This guy's from such and such. This guy's from ARB. This guy's from here. This guy's from there. They're all linked to Milwaukee. We did ride days in Archerfield, ride days in Toowoomba, ride days in... If you Google, there's a whole video. We did a video. I feel like I'm getting off track here, right?
There's no track. You do whatever you want.
We did this. Cole Hurst was still with us. We did this. We rented the track at Parramatta for the night, right? These guys came down. A guy by the name of Alan Hardy is his name. He does a lot. If you get him on Instagram, he does a lot of really cool videos. They came down, and Milwaukee did all this, and we're going to do this whole sprint car thing, and then we're going to do some two-seater stuff and all this footage, right? So we start, and the fucking promoters come down. Stephen Green at the time was running Sydney. He came down. He goes, mate, you got to stop. He goes, there's a guy down there on the cushion in a tent. in turn 1 filming. Well, Hurst's ripping around there, ripping this thing, right? And this guy's in a tent, like a little makeshift cage thing, like it's a tent. Video on it. Like, what? He goes, there's a guy down there in a tent on the track. I said, what? You know, behind the fence. He goes, no, he's on the track. He's on the cushion. Mate, we've got to stop. We have to stop. This is ridiculous.
Far out.
So, yeah, so we did all this filming. We did all this. Then we did all these donuts and all this sort of stuff. And it was all shot. If you Google it, mate, it's pretty cool the way they put all this thing together. We did a lot of videos we did one at the classic, you know, the cool things of the water truck going around. It's all slow-mo with the water hitting the track and the water truck and all that sort of shit. It's pretty cool. They were all about that stuff. Yeah, this whole 2-seater thing, and had to one of the videos I had to use a Milwaukee grinder, and I'm cutting stuff, and Spark had to put a mask on. Sparks, like it's 10 o'clock at night, the pits, shooting sparks into my face, and we guy underneath while we're changing gears, while the oil run in, while the oil run out, oil run in, run out, like craning the 2-seater up into the trailer and all this sort of stuff. We finished like fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, we exhausted. Like, did this whole...
All for the corporate sponsorship. But it paid off.
Yeah. Yeah, we did so much cool stuff with them people. I'll forget about all them videos and stuff that we did with them, but they were cool though. But it's cool to see people when you get out of a 2-seater and...
Blows their mind.
Remember I got in a 2-seater with Kyle Hurst at Warrnambool. And this is no word of a lie. We're ripping around and he pulled the fucking steering wheel off and put the steering wheel out the side here, and I'm in the back. We weren't on the gas. We were rolling around getting ready to gas. You know what I mean? He goes, you didn't know. He pulled the steering wheel. You hear him say, you want to drive? I'm in the back. I'm like, dude. Yeah.
Is that the first time you were in a 2-seater?
No, I went a couple of times. I don't know if I went with James. But, both James and Shane, we did some 2-seater stuff with Shane Stewart. We did a fuck, here I go again. We did a thing for Monster Energy, rented the track at Warrnambool, and they flew Mick Doohan, Jamie Whincup.
Yep, I've seen this.
And Chris Atkinson down, and we had the 2-seater there, and these guys... I think Shane Stewart was with us, and we ran him in the 2-seater, and Mick Doohan was by far above the best of all of them in a sprint car, because he's got a drum with his ankle. I had to put a 3-inch block, tape the 3-inch block, because he had no movement and he couldn't get this way with his ankle. So it was like a 3-inch block under his shoe. You know what I mean? He has a race suit and helmet on, and Jamie Whincup was there, and we were there the whole day, just ripping around 2-seaters and sprint cars, and pretty cool to do this sort of stuff, you know what I mean? As much as it's a pain in the ass sometimes, it's pretty cool to...
Post the event. Throughout like that time with Monty's, you obviously... I feel like it changed the landscape of Australian sprint cars in terms of like just the level of everything. J-Mac with his driving, the Monty Motorsports team. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, because I felt like that we could, you know, like Luch was just so supportive of all of it, you know. Without him, you can't do any of it.
Yeah.
You know, hands down. I mean, he'd come to the shop and say, man, what are we doing? Where are we racing? Where are we going? What are we doing? You know, and I'd give him the schedule. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. You know, he was busy with work. And, you know, we were, it got difficult in the end. James was now racing a Casey. And I remember at one stage, we got hurt. We raced here one time. We weren't Milwaukee. We'd lost Milwaukee. They'd gone. Must have been the first year. I remember we were racing here, the Motorplex, and James crashed. and there's a photo of our car like almost halfway up the fence going backwards. And the following weekend we had to race Murray Bridge. And we get there, he goes, my back's really sore, you know. Anyway, so we fix his car, we go to Murray Bridge, and I'm watching the heat race, and I think it was called the 50 for 50 race or something like that it was. 50 lap, I don't know, it was a big race in Murray Bridge, 2-day show. So we're there, and I'm watching James in a heat race. I mean, he's getting frustrated with this car he can't pass. Right, our car's shit, got a shit car, but he's getting frustrated. Next minute, James drives over old mate's right rear and is hanging out of the fucking catch fence, upside down. So I walk out there, here's all my shit, his shocks are all torn to pieces. We're walking back to the pits. And I said, that was a little bit silly, eh? He says, yeah, wasn't one of my best moments. Okay. So we fixed it, missed the feature. Come back the next night, won the feature. Right? We get back to Warner, we're going to race again, and he's complaining about his back being sore. I'm like, why don't you let's go and get your back looked at, you know? Well, we worked out of James's mum and dad's place, which we based ourselves out of, which was just fantastic, really. James goes to the doctor, comes back, he goes, mate, I've broken my tailbone. I'm like, fuck. He's on 6 weeks off. It was the back end of the season. He goes, I'm done. Do you want to put somebody else in it? I'm like, no. No, I'm not interested. I don't want to do that. So yeah, we end up coming home. Then we get COVID hits. But I think another year after that, following that, we were racing, trying to piece all this together. We were racing. James was racing for us, and James was now contracted to go run the Outlaws for Casey in the 9 car.
Yep.
And they were actually giving him show-up points, but he wasn't there. He was here. And then this is probably the following year, and then he got a call from the Outlaws, and they said, you can't race. You can't go and race over there. You're getting points for racing here. You're getting show-up points. So Casey was running the car.
Because there was a visa issue?
No, not at that stage.
Okay.
James just wanted to, we were just trying to finish off the year we'd committed. And so they said, you can't race. The Outlaws did. So I said, you might as well go back. And then went and raced for Casey. We came home. And I think we put Cullen Williamson in our car for a few nights, 3 nights at the end or something. Another time we were here racing, COVID was just about past, but you could race here. James and Zoe flew here Christmas Day, I think it was, or Christmas Eve or something. We raced. We were going to do all these races here. And then there was an outbreak of COVID in WA, and then anybody that had come into WA after a certain date had to leave. So next minute, James has got to go. He's got to go home. Him and Zoe got to go home. I'm like, well, fuck. Luch is like, what are we going to do? So, man, I'm going over there, knowing the full repercussions of what's going to happen. I'm going. So now Brody's working for me now. I said to Brody, there's a good possibility that one of us or both of us might not be able to come home. We might be there for months. But we're going to go race. So we're racing. We want to race. So we went over there and raced, did all these races, and then I was able to come home, and Brody stayed there with Dave until the borders opened back up. But I think Brody came to work for me So James was driving for me. Pretty sure it was a Milwaukee car back then. So Brody's story is, known his dad Shane for a long time. Brody had a younger brother, Kane, who had cancer. So I knew that Brody was spending a lot of time, whether it be in hospital or whatever, And I knew this young kid was keen on sprint car racing. So I said to Shane, do you want to, Dylan had moved to Bunbury and had another guy working for me called Raymond Hornby, he was helping me. And I'm like, do you want to, get Brody out of that and come and work for me? Just, I can't pay him, but come and hang out and get him in. He goes, because he loves sprint cars, come and get him in this environment and get him to come and hang out and come to the races and whatever. He goes, oh, that'd be great. And that's how Brody got started. So I took Brody, we took him under our wing and took him racing and got him away from what was going on at home. He raced with me for a few years. Then I just put a lot of time into him, training him and getting him, because he was keen. He was really keen. You could tell he was keen. He was, we'd drive along, he'd ask me questions and he'd be writing notes in his phone or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could tell he was keen, when all this thing happened with COVID, I left him with Dave. I thought if he can race with Dave, and Dave's going to teach him some stuff. It's someone different to teach him. The following year, I'm at a point where I'm 15 years of working for Luge. We'd just been through all this COVID stuff. We lost Milwaukee. We didn't really have a sponsor. Luch was going through some personal things in his life. I felt like we're probably a financial burden on him. And I just got to a point where I wasn't enjoying what I was doing anymore. And at this stage, I had nothing going, nothing. Said to Brody, I'm gonna quit. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm going to do, but I think I'm going to go and I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. So it was after the Classic. We're getting ready to go home. I called James. We'd won races, man. We'd won a lot of races together, I said, I need to talk to you. So I went to his house, sat down, had a coffee. Just difficult. And I said, I'm done, mate. He goes, what do you mean, done? I said, yeah, I'm done. I'm finished. It was right, yeah, COVID was still on because Brody couldn't come home with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. I just don't know anything at this stage, but I feel like I need a fresh start. I need something else. Felt like I got stale. So that was difficult. Jumped in the truck, came home, through all that COVID thing at the border, dealing with all that stuff. Got home, called Luch. I need to talk to you. Met him for a coffee, which went for about 2.5 hours. Man, I'm done. What do you mean you're done? I'm done, mate. I'm finished. I don't want to do this anymore. It was difficult. It was difficult to tell him.
Did you feel like an element of guilt, like you were breaking up the band?
Yeah, I did. But I felt like I was going on my terms.
Yep.
Right? I just felt that I feel like it had just run its course. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean,
15 years though, like
15 years is a lot. We've been through a lot. We've done a lot of really, really cool things together, and seen a lot of things. You know, helped him through some pretty shitty times in his life. Just process all that, and I'm like, I don't. And he goes, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't. But I'll be here till the end of the year, and work out what you want to do. And Luch's first day, Luch always said to me, mate, when you're done, I'm done. I'm out. I'm like, well, I don't really think that's a good thing, But then he's like, well, who am I going to get? What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I'm sorry, mate, I don't have the answers to them questions. I don't. But I'm out.
yeah,
I'm sorry, but I'm out. So I'll stay here as long as you need me here. I'll stay here till an end date. You give me an end date when you want me to go. He's like, I don't want you to fucking go. I'm like, I understand that, mate, and I appreciate that. But I just feel like this race has been run and won. You know what I mean? And I need to look at something. I don't know what, but
at this stage, had like the shock stuff like been marinating in your head at all? Was it a blip on the radar at all?
So I talked about it to some friends of mine, obviously Willie and Cole Kane, who own Factory Kane, and another really good friend of mine, probably one of my best mates, and Brian Matley from Karting Performance. And I talked to him because he was always on to me, hey, you need to think about what you're going to do when it's all done. It was just at that point, when you take this leap to go and do all that. On a little sidekick note for the FK thing, so I think we were racing with Kyle Hurst and Brian Matley was with me. So Brian used to come over and hang out with me and race with me for a couple of weeks, and I just loved it. His family. Brian runs Karting Performance, like he's the go-to for anything sprint car related. You want it made, you want to find something, like he's my go-to. And I'll be forever indebted to him because I can talk to him about anything. Anything, doesn't matter. And it goes both ways for us, And I'm like, I said, man, I just don't know. I need to go. Anyway, so we're racing and he's over helping me. And Willie Kane calls me. He goes, hey, I've built some twin tube shocks. Would you run them? Like, it was the off-season in America. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, I'll run them. Send them. Because Willie was building gas stuff at the time, gas shocks. So he sends me 4 shocks over. Just twin tubes, and they had a QA1 body. Not too many people know what a QA1 body is, but that's it. That shock up there on the bench, that's the last of them. That's one last of the original FK shock ever built. And we put them on, and we won the Classic with Kyle Hurst with them shocks on.
Yeah, right.
Which is pretty cool. That's a bit of a feather in the cap, but yeah, Willie just sent them. He said, would you try them? I said, yeah, we'll run them. Put them on. Won the race. Did us help us win the race? I don't know, probably not, but it's a cool story.
Yeah.
So I'd always had it in my back of my mind. At some stage, I'd like to get into it. Didn't know if I was going to get into as much as what I'm into it, but here we are. We're into it. So,
did you ever focus on the shocks? Was that always something that intrigued you throughout the time on the cars?
So I was doing my own stuff.
Always.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I can remember when Stephen Lyons was driving for me. I was building some gas stuff. I was working in someone's shed in Mount Gambier. I don't know whose it was right now. And I was on the phone every day to Brian Matley. We were building 4 shocks. was trying to build 4 shocks. So it was a shock a day we're building because you remember it's night time there. So I'd be calling him and he'd be sitting on the couch. What are the numbers? What's this? What's that? Change this, change that, change this shim, take that shim out, do this. So we built 4 shocks, me and Brian, and went and won the Classic with Stephen Lyons.
Well, and he just knows enough, straight off the top of his head.
Yeah. He goes, take this shim out. Where's this numbers? Try this, try that. It was hard because we had a different dyno then, a different brand dyno, so they read different.
Yeah.
And I'd be lost without him.
Then with that, it's one of my questions in the next little bit. Maybe it is him, but like the one person you've lent on the most for advice throughout everything you've ever done, who would that person be?
Brian Matley.
Without doubt. Yeah, right.
Without a doubt.
And when did that relationship form?
Probably 30 years ago.
Yeah, right.
I was probably when I was in America racing California, Randy Hannigan.
Yeah.
They caddying for with Sam. We used to go to their shop and I'd call. He's my guy. He's my go-to. We talk about, sometimes we call each other and we don't even talk about racing. We just talk about family and stuff like that.
Just your best mate then.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was. My mum passed away, and he was going to be here, and he's come to the funeral. And I do remember I was at the back of the hearse and watching people walk in, and he walked over. I lost my shit. It's hard. I sort of composed myself the whole time until I saw him.
Yeah.
It meant that much to me.
Just an emotional trigger to...
Yeah.
Because the
and
effort...
we still talk about it today, you know what I mean? Like, he's family. I can't go to America without going to Kadings.
Yeah.
Or going to stay at Brian's house for a couple of days. I love his kids, his wife. They're great people,
So you're at the shock shop, RPM, all that sort of stuff. Are you mentally? I'm never on a car again. Like, where was your head at through this time? Are you still even going to watch Speedway?
So the minute I went to RPM, I contacted Willie, and I felt like now's a good time to bring the shock business to RPM. So Willie said, okay, let's do it. Let's go all in, but this will be the last. You'll be the last dealer we'll have. So, have Gleno Inglis on the East Coast, and I said I'm on the West Coast. He goes, you do that side, but as far as dealers go, probably worldwide, that'll be the end of it. So you'll be the dealer. So okay. So we invested into some shock stuff. I went there to the shop. I bought all the shock stuff. I actually took Brody with me to build, to learn. Like I think he was there 10 days or 12 days, Brody was, to get him up to speed on building shocks because he was going to be, because right now I'd left, I'd made a decision I'd go to RPM. Brody'd come back from working with Dave-O. He had nothing. I'm like, you want to come work here? I'm going to do this shock thing and need someone to, I want to put some time into someone that's going to do the shock thing and make it your own. And so I took Brody with me to America and took him to Willie's and got him up to speed with building shocks. And then, we were going. And then Brody always wanted to race, I remember he came to me and he goes, man, I want to race, So then I knew what the outcome was going to be. I already knew this. So I'd been talking a little bit to Carl Williamson. They were looking for somewhere to house their car and work on their car. So I sort of put the two together. We had a meeting and drew up a little bit of a contract for them to come and, work out of the shop. And Brody can work on it. And I knew ultimately that was the be all and end all. That was going to be the end of the shock thing for Brody. But I felt like, it's disappointing at the time, but he doesn't want to be stuck in a shock room building shocks all day, every day, you know what I mean? And the opportunity arose for him to take the next step to be a crew chief with Williamson. And I facilitated that with Williamson to push that to happen. But pretty much the minute I did it, I knew I was going to lose him.
Yep.
I knew that was going to happen, which was difficult for me to get my head around. But then I felt, when that happened, I just felt totally disconnected with, I wouldn't even go to the races. I couldn't care. I was just buying parts, selling parts, and, it was a struggle. There were times I didn't even, Tommy and Chad will tell you I didn't even go to the races. Didn't even go and couldn't be bothered. Just go home, and I had passes to go and everything. I just never went. I just felt like, this might sound weird, but I just felt like I didn't belong. Does that sound weird to you?
No, because you would have always had that connection and the identity of being with a team. And what would you do? Go and just sit in the crowd? Like,
what are you going to do? Look like a dickhead?
Yeah.
Right?
Float around with sort of no home.
You got, why it's not me? I'll stay home.
What would you do now? Like, if you went, like, obviously with this deal, it's not on. Do you go opening night? Like, what do you do?
I'll probably go opening night.
Well, in the crowd or like?
Sheldon's got a corporate box.
Well, that makes it easier. Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't know, man. I'm not the world's best watcher. I can't watch. I've got to be. And the problem for me is I've had a lot of opportunities that people say, "Hey, man, can you come and help me?" I'm like, no, because I'm either fucking all in or all out. If I'm working on your shit, I need to come and work on it during the week.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Especially with the standard that you would hold yourself to, and you couldn't just give advice. Yeah, I know what you mean. You'd be there Monday through Friday, and then
or go there a couple of nights a week after work and hang out and do some stuff. You know what I mean? But if you're kicking tires, mate. Really. Yeah. So I just felt like I go to the racetrack. I felt like I go and talk to the boys in the truck. It felt like I felt like I honestly didn't belong. I don't belong here. As bad as that.
Nah, but that's how the world works. Like, the moment you're out of it, you're out of it.
You're irrelevant. Yeah. I'm not talking about trying to be relevant. I'm just saying that you've gone from winning a lot of races with James McFadden, which was everything I've ever wanted, to nothing.
Yeah, what do you do? Go around the pits and say g'day, and then if you're not in and amongst it, you're just not in and amongst it.
Listen to people bitch about their parts or their shocks or shit or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. I felt totally disconnected.
Did you want to be connected though? Like, or was it good to have a break?
I felt like it was good to have a break, but I just felt like I never got. In the situation I was in, I felt like it was a compromise for me to go and. It wasn't a good look for me to go and work on someone's car when I'm selling parts to everybody else. Fair. Right? So I still deal with that now when it comes to the shock stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm supplying people shocks that I'm racing against.
Yeah.
Which is a...
conflict.
It is what it is.
One thing I've learned with Speedway is that Speedway people hate winners.
Fuck.
If you're winning... but when you're losing, good. That's where we want you.
Yeah.
Like, but no one likes a winner.
That's true.
Like every division, every class, whoever's
Yeah.
winning's a dickhead.
Yeah.
Oh, he's arrogant. Oh,
He's fucking cheating.
yep. The speedway people hate winners.
Yeah. I think it's like that. I mean, and I had so many people come up and talk to me at RPM because I'd make conversation with people. I want to talk to people because and people would say to the boys, man, I didn't think he was like that. Because you know, you're perceived to be just an arrogant old fuck, right? But what people don't understand, man, I'm working. I'm going there to work. I'm going there to race. I'm going there to win races. If I win a race, I make more money. I'm not driven by money, but I'm not going there to be your best friend, mate. I'm sorry.
You're all in.
I'm fucking all in.
And you don't pay attention and don't do a bolt up, like you could effectively be let go. Like it might not be that night, but then it might be like, oh, he did this bolt. Oh, he stuffed this up that one time.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're just conversations. A fan, fair enough that they idolise you or whatever, but that conversation can take away from your concentration and your mates in the car, like J-Max in the car or whatever. I always sort of had the thinking of the fan until one night Chad told me, he goes, no, mate, like when Buzzy's there, he's working. That's his office. He's doing everything he can to win. If he wins, he gets paid more. That's just how it is. And I was like, I never put it together like that.
I mean, I don't go to the racetrack and flutter around and talk to everybody in the pits. I don't go and talk to everyone in their trailer. I might talk to, my good mate, Andrew Priolo, or I might talk to Taylor Milling or Brody because they're in my little circumference of where I pit. But at the end of the day, man, we're all fucking racing against each other, right? So you're perceived, which is fine. It doesn't, I don't care.
I believe that.
The thing about this fucking sport is, right, there is no loyalty in this sport.
No.
And it's like a lot of sports, right? So people are loyal to their need of you.
Yeah.
When they don't longer need you, they don't need your loyalty. Or you don't get their loyalty. Which is fine.
Yeah, as long as you're
if you're providing something or helping with something, fucking all over you. If you're not,
who else is? Yeah. So
I've lived and died by that motto. You know what I mean? Like, mate, I've got a phone full of quotes, racing quotes that Brian Matley sends me. You know what I mean? Don't be disappointed from the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do.
Yeah.
Like I can rattle them all off, But
my favourite one that I have, and it's life or speedway, is how you do anything is how you do everything.
100%.
Probably just goes back to your mentality in the pits, like you're all in.
Mike, honestly, I go to the track, I get out of my truck, I work on my car. I look at the track, I come back, I work on my car. I look at the track, come back, work on my car. We suck, and then I've got to work harder. I've got to figure it out. You've got to work it out.
Yeah, so through this time with this somewhat of a disconnection to the sport, when does the phone call from Sheldon come through?
So let's backtrack a little bit.
Go.
You
want another one?
Fuck, I'd love another one. I'm fucking thirsty.
Just don't talk, and then the AI editing will edit the gap out. So if we're quiet, it just fixes it. Another one there?
Yeah, I'm fucking thirsty. Sweet.
All right, we're back. Even if it doesn't edit, I'm just going to leave that in there, I reckon. So go back a bit.
Yeah, so I'm working at, so James, I'm in America. I went to America. I'll talk about my son a bit later. But I was over there seeing him, and James says to me, hey, I've been offered this deal to do a Nappa car in Australia. Would you come and do it with me? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We just talk about it when you get home, see what you want to see what the deal is, you know. That I was working at RPM. James comes home. This is what the deal is. It's owned by there's some people involved in it. Tim Hodges is heading the deal. He's the executive producer of Fox Footy. Tim calls me, and I'm still like trying to piece all the how's all this gonna what are we doing? You know what I mean? We go race. I go over there, help James. I flew over there and back a couple of times. Raced with James. I think first year we raced, we led the classic. And then we smoked the fence and knocked the Jacob ladder out of it. So that was the end of that. The following year, we'd switched to Maxim cars. I was going through a difficult time with my mum. She was quite ill at the time. She was in Bunbury. We're getting ready to race. And James is like, I don't think you should come over to the first race. And I'm like, I'll just see how it all goes. At that point, Mum's basically in palliative care. You know, you're at a point of no return here. She was coherent, and then she's like, when are you supposed to race? When are you racing again? And I said, I'm supposed to race next weekend. So Mum being Mum, she goes, well, you make sure you go. So I don't want you here moping around. So you make sure you go. I want you to go. I don't want you here. I'm like, okay. Which is really hard for me to get my head around. So I called James. I said, look, Mum wants me to come over. He goes, you think it's a good idea? I said, I don't know, man, but let's see what happens. So at that point, yeah, she was, both me, my sister and my younger brother, Paul, we all agreed that if Mum was to pass, Mum wouldn't pass alone. There would always be someone there with her. So I stayed down in Bunbury. I just sit there all day with her. My sister would stay at night and I'd come back and do it. Anyway, get to Thursday, I jump on a plane. I don't even tell James I'm coming. James calls me and, when are you coming? And I said, oh, mate, I'm on a fucking train, Warrnambool. I'm actually going to stay at Jack Lee's place. Jack lives out near Terang, and Jack Lee's been a good friend of mine. So I'm like, I'm just going to stay at Jack Lee's house, and he's got a car for me to use, and I'll just commute backwards and forwards. I just felt like I didn't want to be around a lot of people. Anyway, I went and built this car, Toyota, and we raced Max's race and put the thing in a fucking shoebox. Destroyed it. Went back to James's dad's house, and I washed and started pulling it apart. Went to Jack's house. It was late, like 3 a.m. in the morning. Had a shower, got to bed, phone rings. Mum's passed away. I'm like, okay. So you deal with all that stuff. So that was really hard to deal with emotionally, because I was so tight, so attached to my mum. It was crazy. But I don't want to talk about it anymore because I'll get upset talking about it. But went home, did all that stuff, went back. So I missed a couple of races, raced all them races with James. We were running second, I think, at the Classic, and Hod spun out in front of us, and we collected Hod, and that finished that. And I'm like, oh, that's that. I came home, just working one day, and then I get this random phone call from fucking Sheldon Brody. So a little side note to all that, I don't know if you know, but Sheldon Brody, when Sheldon Brody and Nathan Brody raced, I built that whole team. So I was working for Luch, and they want to build this team. And they were in the shop 2 doors from here. When I come out look at this shop, I'm like, and they didn't have a fucking toolbox. It was just an empty building. They had nothing.
What? Just up there?
Not Sheldon's office next door, the building next door.
Yeah, right.
So we built a whole team, cars, motors, trucks, everything.
Trucks,
2 brand new trucks, right? Built them in an off season. Then I went back and me and Dilzo was with me. We went back and worked for Luch, and we raced, and they went on and did their thing. So so they raced for a period of time. I think, Sheldon got to the point where family became more important as it should, and then so they shut it down. So he calls me randomly, and he's asking me about bringing an American over, and what do you think? I want to know your thoughts, what you think, and I'm like, well, the guy who was offered to bring over, I'm like, well, you're going to be this much in airfares, you have to buy a car, you're going to do this, this, and this, and this. Okay. No worries. So another week or two goes by, calls me again. And we start talking about somebody else. He goes, oh, just give you a heads up. I bought a trailer and I bought it a mule. I'm like, fuck, okay, this guy's all in. So I'm at the point, like, me and James are at the point where, like, we don't know where we sit. The original Nappa deal was supposed to go for 1 year, and then we pushed it to 2. So I didn't think there was going to be a third. And I'm like, I said, man, I'm just going to put this out there. What about me and James? He goes, what? Would you consider me and James? He goes, are you in your office? I'm like, yeah. Mate, in 10 minutes he was there. He came, we sat down in my office, we talked. And I'm rattling numbers off in my head what it's going to. I'm like, what do we got? He goes, well, we got that black toolbox that you got from us from SP Tools. I did a deal with SP Tools and got him a big toolbox, which is the toolbox downstairs. He goes, I got that. I said, fuck, we're starting all over again. He goes, yeah, I got a trailer. I bought a trailer and I've got a mule. It's okay. So I called James. I said, man, this deal's, I don't know what you think about all this, but this deal, I know this guy. He's legit. What do you think? He goes, man, does this guy know what all this entails? I'm like, yeah. I said, mate, you're going away racing in America. You're just going to come back and race. I'm the one that got to build it all. But what do you think? I said, why don't I said, you talk to him, you talk to Sheldon, and then call me back. Let me know what you think. So they talk together. James calls me and he goes, man, I think we got to do it, Buzzy, don't we? I'm like, well, I said, the guy's legit. The guy's a no bullshitter. So if he says he's going to do something, he'll do it. But, next minute, James is ready to go to America. Sheldon said to us, whatever cars you want, whatever shocks you want, whatever engines you want. And at that point, we talked about motors. We talked about, what do we do engine-wise? Do we go to the American route? And both me and James agreed to go to Kenny Mack. simply because I felt like we had a really good relationship with Kenny Mackett when I was with Luch's deal, a really good deal. So we were doing a lot of R&D and stuff. Like people don't know half the stuff we were doing, but we were just trying stuff for Kenny. Different cylinder heads and different this, different that, whatever. So we talked to Kenny. I just felt like everybody jumped off him. They all went to ride or whatever. They're entitled to do whatever they want. So I'm like, we're going to go this route. So I said to James was getting ready to go to America and he was having his issues with his visa. I said, well, you get your visa sorted. Once you get your visa sorted, call me. We'll put two and two together and we'll bring you over and let's sit down and talk it out. We need to have a conversation. James gets his visa sorted. We put him on a plane. We bring him to Perth. We go to Coco's for dinner. All sounds really positive. Sounds really good. James is flying out the next day at lunchtime. So he's not even here 24 hours, right? He's staying with me. We're just, processing this whole, because it's happening quick, you know what I mean? Like we got to go. Like I said, James, if we're going, we got to go. We have to go now. Like, because we don't have anything. So, but it's just on at the end of the season. So James, we came here the following morning, me and James, to Sheldon's office. He had, everything was on spreadsheets. There was contracts. Everything was legit, straight up. Like, this is how I want to run it. This is how we would like to do it. Where both me and James are on contracts with a clause for contract extensions. Everything is
business.
It's all fucking business here, mate, right? And I like that. So does James. So this meeting, James stands up and James says, I'm in. Fuck, I'm in. Let's go. It's okay. So I said, James, well, we're going to have to talk to Tim and see where that sits. So James dealt with that side of it. I was still at RPM, and then once that, I went to work the next day and I was on the phone. I was ordering cars from Maxim. I called Maxim. I said, mate, I need cars. I need 4 cars and I need them in 3 weeks. And Dan's like, I said it's for me and James. He goes, done. Fuck. Cars, wings. By June, I had a container here. In the meantime, we had no shop because this shop was the asbestos demolition shop. Okay. So that everything had to get moved out here in the containers up to our other yard. This got painted and we were just...
Twice,
yeah. Wide open. We're just going every day, 7 days a week. Put it all together. Really, really nervous about how it all, we built some motors that weren't big horsepower engines, but we felt like they were going to be drivable. And James comes home, go to state title, win. First night, I'm like, fuck. In a way, I was relieved.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any, there was no, we didn't have a social media page. I had nothing. We didn't have anything. Sheldon didn't want anything. We're just going to
rock up.
We're just going to rock up. That's the first time anyone's going to see our car. When we rock up to practice on the Wednesday. That's it. Nothing. People knew that things were happening. A lot of people were asking where James McFadden was going. You're okay, and I'm just here going. Yeah, he rolls in here for the first time. He goes, fucking hell, mate. We've landed on our feet here. And
is that the run that you guys went on, not just the best run for you, but is that the best run that you know of? The wins, that sort of condensed season that you did have. Is that the best run anyone's ever gone on in Australia?
I don't know. I think looking back, James won a lot of World Series races. stringed a lot of races together. But, you know, you just hoping that everything goes together. You know, like we raced here, that I ripped across, raced Max's race. We were 5th or 6th, weren't that great. Track was really heavy, didn't really suit what we had going on. Came back here. But, you know, everything is about personnel. We had some people come into our team that Dylan showed up. We raced Boxing Night. We had some steering gear issues. We come from the back, I think, and ran 4th or something, missed the podium. Roll into high limit. Win the first night, win the second night. And then the pressure starts to build. You know, you think, fuck, what if surely we can't win all 3 of them, you know? And the whole time I'm telling Sheldon, hey, man, shit, don't roll this way. Don't get used to this. Do not get used to this, because this will bite you on the ass in a heartbeat. Trust me. I've seen this before. So we just played it down and just went to work and did our thing. And, you know, with this team, if there's something that we don't have to race, we're not governed by got to race. So that's we went to Bunbury, won Bunbury. We didn't go back the next time. Like, there was all that talk about people not wanting to go to Bunbury, and we had everything is here. We have a meeting about. So we had a team meeting in the office downstairs with everybody here, every team member, sponsor that was here. You know, GT Bobcat was here, and Scott from TNC Plaster was here, and we just said, hey, you know, do we want to go race, or what do we want to do, or what do we, you know? I'm like, well, I'm up for racing, but if we don't have a night off, I'll have a night off. I don't really. Shell's like, let's have a night off and go out for dinner. So he took everyone out for dinner. We watched the Bunbury races on the phone, and so we're not governed by anything, you know, but this here is all business. We have team meetings. Team meetings are every Wednesday. We get minutes of the meeting. Mel, a lovely office girl that works for Sheldon and works for me in the shock shop and does all my accounts and does all that stuff and works for PCB, and she takes minutes of the meeting, and everyone gets the minutes of the meeting. You get jobs you got to take care of. James doesn't get fuck all to do, but I get it.
Win, and he does that.
I get. You do get a list of jobs that's got to be done. Sheldon gets a list. Mel gets a list, and then we convene every Wednesday and go through everything. Definitely financially for all of us, it's been better for both. Like, it's good job security for me and James. So for me and James, it was definitely a win-win. What happens this year, I don't know. You just have to see what happens. Put your best foot forward, and we've got a lot of exciting things, I think, coming to the middle of the back end of the year for us. We'll hope they come off, so we'll see what happens there. But all you can do is do your best and get hated on.
Well, if you win, that's what I said. Speedway people hate winners, mate. But in sort of covered everything. What's scary, we've been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes and probably not covered a quarter of it. But what's the biggest innovation, do you think, in sprint cars since your time? Like, what's changed the most, or what changed the game?
I definitely think the shock absorbers changed the game. Shocks changed the game.
When do you reckon that sort of started?
I reckon probably in the early 2000s, probably, I think.
Yeah.
You know, back in them days, Kerry Madsen started running Penske's, with gas chambers on them and stuff like that. Kerry did. We were very successful with them on. But everything's and the whole industry's changed. Like you need to be on your game. You know, it's a moving target. You need to go to America, see what's happening, keep up to speed. I'm really, really fortunate in that have the opportunity to go and hang out with my son and go race with him, which I get a lot of enjoyment out of. Seeing his success is really, I don't talk about Dylan too much. I don't want to be that parent that feel like you're riding on their kids' coattails, but,
Fuck, it'd be hard not to.
I couldn't be more proud of, people don't know Dylan's story, and a lot of people need to know the whole story, but there was some struggles that he had for a period. I look back on it, he went to work he flew out. I still remember like it was yesterday, 4 a.m. in the morning, me and Mama out the front wishing him off, getting in a cab, and he was going to work for Kerry on the big game car with the two.
Yep. Yeah.
And then I didn't see him for 3 years. Overstayed his visa. Met a lovely girl in Gabby, got married. As you heard on Ryan's podcast, I had to navigate that whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
That was difficult. Before all that, I think Shane's passing had a big effect on Dylan. Dylan idolised Shane. I know he did. I think Shane was like a father figure to him down in Bunbury, and he looked up to him. So I feel like, he'll probably say he didn't, but I feel like it did. It probably affected him in some way. I mean, he was in America racing with Jamie Veal at the time, and him and Veal flew home and went to the funeral. And so I didn't see Dylan for 3 years. He worked for the Roth deal with Aaron Reitzel, and everyone knows what happened there. Then he went to KPC. And then the Roth deal came up again, do something with Buddy. He, flew out to California and loaded a truck full of parts and a couple of Toyota engines and went and nearly won the biggest race of the fucking year. Him and Buddy, that was crazy. I remember screaming, and that thing blew up with 6 to go at Huset's. But they were fast, straight out of the box. So, both his mum and myself I'm immensely proud of him and what he's achieved. I feel like he's finally grown up, and to watch him, just to be over there and watch him go about his craft is really quite rewarding for me as a parent. I look at him and laugh a lot. He asked me what I'm laughing at, and he just has a lot of things he does that I do, and he builds really, really nice cars. Like we both always try to build the nicest cars we can build. Brian Matley's played a big part in Dylan's development. Brian talks to Dylan every other day. He's his parts supplier. Married a lovely girl, Gabby, bought a house in Knoxville. He's legit. A lot of people just think you can just go to America and just overstay your visa and it's no big deal. Well, he did that and then, got married, had to go through all the stuff to get Social Security and all that just to...
Backdoor type stuff, all the shit you wouldn't think about.
Just fucking endless. Do you know what I mean? So it was a difficult time for both my wife and myself, really difficult. He said to me one day, he was, thinking about getting married. And I said, "No, you're a fucking idiot. Get on the plane and come home." And a few days later, I wake up to a photograph of him in a wedding.
Yeah, right.
You're married. Then I got to pick up the pieces this end.
Yeah.
Show mum. Show his sisters. It's hard.
Something you would have always had in your head from when he's a little fella, like the wedding and all that stuff. It would have played out so differently in your head from when he's a kid, I suppose.
Yeah. But then when you look at we've had some... I think if my wife said to me once, she said to me a couple of times, "You've got him into this fucking shit." But as a parent to sit back and watch him now, they interviewed him on TV the other night. I'm just super proud, and I just can't say, just both me and my wife are super proud of him and what he's achieving, and I feel like he's getting some recognition. I think he's probably, I'm probably biased, but I think he's probably in the top 5 in the world now in crew chiefs. Builds a lot of his own shocks. He does a lot of his, and I can see, a lot of things, a few things he does that, he probably learn off me. Probably one of the best things I know. I remember the wife took me to the airport this year. I was going over and said, "I hope I can get on the podium with my son." And then we won Peevely, the Ironman race, and that was like the cream on the crop. That had just topped it off for me. And I think it's my screensaver on my phone, but that was... I feel like at that point, I feel like I'm really quite content now with, he's got a young, Rother put him in charge of that deal over there, and Dennis and Teresa Roth and Andy Graves from Toyota have just been unbelievable for him. Todd Ventura, Shaggy, all them people over there from Toyota to Roth, people have given him all the tools to do the job, and I feel like he's doing the job now. He's getting the job done, So he's got 11 wins for the year so far. So if they can pinch a couple more. But it's really cool. We talk every day. He races. We normally message each other, Viber while he's racing. Some of it's quite funny. Some of it's quite funny. It's normally like, what the fuck? This guy's a cockhead or this or that or something, you know what I mean? It's cool. I got to race against a motherfucker now. So...
Do you look forward to that, or the same thing as we spoke about before? Like, is it somewhat like daunting?
Well, it is daunting. Like he is. Yeah, like I'm biased, obviously, but the record speaks for themselves, and they're fucking second in the points in the Outlaws.
Yeah,
they won more prize money than any other car on tour, or in the US this year. With percentage money, with prize money, that car will make $1 million this year.
Far out.
Right? You do the math.
Yeah. No, that's...
They're at 790,000 right now. We've still got 10 races to go, plus a point fund.
Bang.
I think the point fund's pretty decent. That's you know.
Does he like teach you tricks now? Like, how does that work? Like, when you watch him, do you think, hey, where did he pick that up from, or how did he do that? Like,
Yeah, because he's got some stuff. He's really quite coy about it too, which is cool. I like it because I wouldn't fucking tell
he's
him
at work.
either. Hey?
He's at work.
He's at work. He's working. He don't. Dude, I watch him at the track. He don't leave his fucking trailer either. He doesn't. He might walk to the snack shack, get something, come back. But he don't go down talking to every swinging dick in the pit area. And I'm like, he's just like me, eh? Like his, you know, some crew chiefs will talk to everybody or whatever, you know what I mean? But he don't. He does his thing, goes home. He does a good job. He runs that team. I enjoy working with him. Like we race Peevely. It's 6 hours back to Knoxville. Everyone goes to sleep. I ride up in the front of the truck with him all the way home.
You're the kid now.
Yeah, we go straight to the car wash. We get to the car wash and it's 5:30 in the morning. Roll the car out, wash the car, go back to the shop, unload it. We're racing that night at Knoxville now. We've just driven 6 hours, washed, got home, sun's coming up, ride the scooters home, go to bed, knocks on my door, sends me a message, you up? 11 o'clock, back to work.
It's a good life.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the end of the day, he is doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Which must...
Like I could never get the pieces, you know.
Timing.
Yeah. Timing. And he's done it you know, I talk to people there, the young Australian, you know, now there's a lot of Australians over there. They're like, oh, I'm just going to stay my visa. I'm like, you got no fucking idea, mate, what it takes now to you overstay a visa.
Probably get locked up now.
Especially now with Trump.
Where do you think the next innovation comes from in sprint cars? Like, what's the next jump in the sport, do you think?
So I don't know, but I tell you what, it's a moving target because the tyre changes all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So we've just gone from here, they've just gone from a WAV tyre to
HTAAU.
Yeah, whatever that thing is, right? So it's a 15, D15 or whatever it's supposed to be. You know, I talked to Dylan, sent me a photo the other day. They were tyre testing for Hoosier. They're gonna get change tyres, I believe, for next year. So we're just getting on the new tyre now from they've been running over there. The difference is the tyre here, it's an 18-inch tyre. The tyre over there is a 16. So the tyre thing is an ever moving target. Tyre batches, I feel like, you know, if you look at some cars, some teams, they're hot and they're cold, they'll go good for a period of time. There's a lot of talk about tyre batches and tyre batch numbers, and they come from this batch or that's come from a different batch, or, you know, a classic case is Rico. You look at Rico sometimes and he's been badass, and then he might have 2 or 3 races or 4 races.
14th.
Junk, then boom, back at it again. So I don't know whether that's a tyre or whether they're trying stuff or whatever. But I feel like you can deviate too far, you know, trying stuff. Like me and James are very, very basic.
Yeah.
Like we've probably got the most basic race car. The problem that, you know, I'm a little bit nervous about is that the new tyre, we haven't ran the new tyre yet. So I feel like the notebook that I have from this year, I'll throw it in the fucking bin.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm sure you'll adapt.
So the good thing about it is James has been on it. Although it's a 16-inch tyre, James has been on that tyre anyway. So I'm pretty sure you know, me and him will work it out pretty good. He's very, very good. James is badass with his car stuff. Like his motor stuff, he is. Yeah, he's in the top 4 or 5 in the world when it comes to sprint car motor stuff. Yeah. I feel, I mean, I'm probably biased, but when it
comes... Same results would probably dictate that as well.
When it comes to, you know what I mean, like, you know, he'll come in one day and I'll be running the valves and we'll change something, we'll change this, or we'll put a different nozzle in, or we'll just try stuff, you know what I mean? I feel like we could do this, or maybe we should try that, or... Yeah, I mean, the engines in our cars that we have here are all James. James's, the cylinder heads James wanted, the compression stuff James wanted, the injectors what James wanted. It's everything. Which we were, you know, and I feel like Kenny Max probably sold some motors off it too.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? But when people ring Kenny Mack and say, I want a motor like James McFadden, and then we tell them we only make this much power, they probably go, I don't want it. But it probably hurts me a little bit in qualifying, but we can race good with it, you know. So it's something, it's a package that we work on, we continue to work on. You know, you look at dealing with them Toyotas, that Toyotas fucking rip.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, he's on it. You got to detune them, and you got to detune everything over there.
Yeah, right. What about has there been any like big deals that never came to fruition for you? Like any big contracts or agreements, like almost like a monster that never sort of come through. Has there been anything like that in your career, or have you sort of landed everything that you wanted?
Sort of felt, yeah, I don't have anything that we haven't. I haven't really missed out on anything that I can think of. It's one of them deals, be careful what you wish for too, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think I'm really at a point in my life now, I'm just quite content to race with James, and I'll probably race with James until he retires. Whenever that is, I don't know. You know, I don't want to speak out of school here, and I don't think James is the type of guy that's going to race till he's 50. I don't know that. I don't know. But, you know, I have some really good conversations with James that don't even talk. We talk on the phone for an hour, don't even talk about racing. Just talk about life.
Yep.
A lot of people wouldn't know this, but me and James McFadden have never had an argument.
Really? Not one?
Like, we might have had a disagreement on something.
Yeah.
But we've never had a situation where, because I said to him, and here we 100% agree, there's no screaming and yelling. Screaming and yelling gets you nowhere. Yelling at somebody gets you nowhere.
Yep.
Right? I'm always, hey, you talk to me the way I'll talk to you. But we've never had any, honestly, nothing, mate. It's like two best mates going racing. Right?
Yeah. It's not like that. It sounds like that's what it is.
Well, it is. And like, if there's something comes up that we need to talk about, we talk about it. We don't just do it. You know what I mean? I mean, I've had situations where I've wanted to try stuff and gone down a little road. I'm going to try this shit. You know what I mean? And he's not really on board, but he's on board. And I know why he's on board, because I want to try it. You know what I mean? The classic case was years ago. I wanted to try some torsion bar stuff, and we tried it. And we won the first 5 races of the year. But he kept complaining of the same things. I'm like, no, it'd be right. You know what I mean? And we get to World Series race, first World Series race, fucking blew the rear end out of this thing in Murray Bridge. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yep.
Guess, what are you doing? So I'm pulling this shit out. Let's just go back to where we were. Roll it. That was the first night of World Series. Blew the rear end out of the thing. Change it all back. Win the next night. So, but at the time I built a car, called an X car, CS9, an X car.
Yep.
James raced one for Willie Kane, so I ordered one. We went to Darwin with it. We won everything. We won every race. We won the 4 races up in Darwin. We went to, we were called into fucking Alice Springs on the way home. We won the race there. We put it away. And I brought it out at Easter. Must have been at Easter. Yeah, it was Easter. Brought it back out. Went back over there to race with it. We won the first 2 nights. Back then you won a Harley. You won a Harley for winning the points, right?
Yeah.
As well as winning, you won prize money. But overall points champion for the Easter Trail used to win a Harley. I'm like, James, I'm winning this fucking Harley. So we won the first 2 nights. The next night, last night, so Veely was second. Dylan was working for Veely.
Yep.
We're racing, and James rips into 3. Well, it breaks the fucking spindle off, right front spindle, and we flipped. We flipped into the catch fence like hard. I'm like, fuck. Come in. Dylan's in my corner. Dad, let's get the welder out. We'll weld the shock tower back on it and blah, blah, blah. And we're getting ready. And I look up at the trailer and James is fucked.
Yeah, okay.
I walked up. Said, you're no good. He goes, no, I'll race it. I said, no, mate, we're done. So put it in the trailer. We're done. Put the leather jacket and the fucking helmet away. We didn't get the Harley.
Oh, no.
No. But, to me, yeah, your driver's safety is paramount. And I would never ask him to do that. He wouldn't do it anyway. But he goes, if you want to race, I'll race. I'm like, no, mate, no.
I've got heaps of questions, but I reckon that we'll wrap it up with this. I know you probably get asked the best driver like you've ever sort of dealt with or whatever like that. And I'm more interested, is there a driver that for whatever reason didn't make it that you felt like was just like had a lot of talent that just the cards or the timing didn't go their way? Is there like someone who you really think never reached their full potential?
In Australia or in the US?
You pick.
Fuck. I don't know. I thought Cody Darrow was going to be he got hurt in a car accident. He was racing for Casey Kane at the time.
Yeah.
In a car accident. And really affected his braking foot. But I don't know. But at that point, I felt like he was going to be something big.
Mm-hmm.
I felt anyway. As far as I don't know. I've never really thought about that.
Fair enough.
What's the next question?
Well, what have we got? If your favourite event in Australia, like you've obviously done so much, what's something that still gets you up and going?
Classic.
The classic?
Yep.
Fuck, it must be some event, eh?
The classic, yeah. 6 times.
And how many potential chances? Like you said, the Nappa car twice with James. Are you ever not in a position to win?
Yeah, sometimes you're just not good enough. But, yeah, when James came to race for us with Luch, he said we had a couple of little side bets. He goes, I want to win the classic. And I said, no, I want to win the fucking Australian title. That's what I want to win. So, okay. So the first year comes along, James wins the classic. I'm like, fuck, I ticked that box off. Okay. We'll have the Australian title at Murray Bridge. The Australian title at Mount Gambier. We were badass fast all weekend. We led it with 2 laps to go. It's solid rubber. and Madman gets underneath us with 2 laps to go, wins the race. We lead it in Brisbane. I think we run over Fari and Andrew Shirley, something. Andrew Shirley wins it. Lost that one. I had another Australian title was in my grasp at Adelaide with Stephen Lyons in the Monster Car. We had 6 lap cars between us and second place and smoked the fence with 10 laps to go.
Oh.
Right? We were lights out fast that weekend. I reckon there's probably 4 or 5 chances that me and James had to win the Australian title with Luch's car. Another time we led in Sydney, got contact with Madman. We ran off the racetrack. We're leading then. Kerry won that one. I can pretty much rattle them all off. So whenever I went to the Australian title, for me, it was like fucking whatever. Australian title in Tasmania. We were pretty solid in that and got caught up in someone else's mess with Sean Dobson, I think it was. Yeah, we've led a lot of them. Just never got the job done. So when we went to this year's race, I was at the point, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, that was my attitude.
Stopped hoping almost.
Yeah, just go and race. And, just don't get up. I do get up for the class. I do get up for that whole week. I'm a big fan of that. Like, I get up and about. It's like it's the best week of the year. When you're going to race Avalon, we're good at Avalon. Race Mount Gambier, I think we've run that King's Challenge race the last 4 years in a row, or 3 years in a row, whatever it is, I can't remember. And roll in the Classic with some form. But it's just I've always told James, this is a process. Let's just go and get qualified. Let's work on getting our car qualified first. And we'll take the rest from there.
Keep it simple. Awesome. Mate, I feel like I haven't really even spoken. I just have sat here with a dumb look on my face with a smirk the whole time. But, yeah, really appreciate your time.
We took up some time, eh?
Yeah, 3 hours.
Do a fucking 3-parter.
Yeah, mate. I'm not sure how I'll do it. Tim Hodges flipped me a message one time, so it might be a 2-parter. I'll figure that out when I do. But yeah, thank you. I don't know if there's anything you want to end it with. Anyone else you need to thank? Yeah, crack in. But that's the end of it for me, mate.
Yeah, I just can't thank the people enough who have helped me along the way to get to where I am at this point. Like I say, I'm in it for as long as what James would want to do. I mean, I don't know if I'd be like to be like Davey Brown, who's in his 90s and doing it. I don't think I'd be doing that, but I'd like to be doing something. I still enjoy the challenge especially the challenge of building race cars and, all that sort of stuff. I really enjoy all that part of it. Like, I love it. I love some good mates I've made out of it. The people in America, I've got a lot of good friends in America and, Brian Matley, and like I said before, and his family and all them sort of people. Might laugh at the chair that I'm sitting in, which is actually a barber's chair this belonged to Brent Kading's dad, Howard Kading, who's a Knoxville Hall of Famer. We had a container coming out and Brent's dad passed away and Brent asked would I have it. I said, yeah, I'll put it in my shop room to sit in. So it turned out to be pretty good for the pod.
It's cool. I think it's the coolest chair it's been in here.
But yeah, and in the current situation, don't thank James enough, for believing in me to stick with me, you know what I mean? I think it's been good. Guys like Luch Monte, forever indebted to him. Jeff Kendrick, Alan Haynes, Scott Milling, Randy Furr, Randy Hannigan. It just goes on and on and on and on. I feel like I'm just fucking rambling on, but
Perfect.
It's enough for me, mate.
Let's do it.
Fucking warm me out.
Done. Again, mate, really appreciate it. Everything, and see you at the track.
Maybe we can do, maybe I can call my old mate to come, we'll do one together.
Yeah, mate. I'll come in and have this done. Look on my face heaps more if you want me to. Done. See you, mate.
See you, mate.